Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan bikumu. Welcome everyone to our 59th episode of Friday Night Live. And inshallah, as every week, we hope that it is an enjoyable, and as the youngsters say these days, a lit session where we can enjoy, where we can benefit, where we can be inspired spiritually and emotionally as well. We have some amazing guests this week. Every week it's a blessing to be able to see and to be able to share a platform with many different speakers, scholars, and artists. This week we're joined by two great friends, one whom I've never met yet, inshallah, hope to meet very soon when he travels here, when I travel to his country. Brother Kamal Saleh from Australia, from Sydney, who is with the One Path Network, and also our dear brother and Shaykh Mikaeel Smith, joining from the beautiful institution in Dallas, and Kalam Institute. Both are part of two great organizations, institutions that are bringing so much khair to the ummah, so much benefit. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to allow and bless those institutions and all of those affiliated to it to bring the work of goodness to light and bring positivity to the world, and also a good name for Muslims, inshallah ta'ala. So today's session is going to be special for many reasons, because of the guests that we have, and also because of Jazakallah khair, because we have a surprise in the sense that the main host for Friday Night Live is back, and Shaykh Abdullah Waheed, my dear elder brother, who has been missing in action, as they say, MIA, I believe, missing in action for some time now. And he will be back today making a return. His return is well awaited. It's like Jordan when he left for a year, for some reason, try to play baseball. And he came back and everyone was excited for him to come back. So I see you, Bajan fanboy. I noticed that you were missing for the last 4 weeks and you just came back last week because you thought my brother's going to be back. So I know for sure you don't come on for me. So I appreciate, your honesty. Everyone else, mashallah, it's great to see you all again. As you're joining, please assalamu alaikum and welcome the guests to the program, inshallah ta'ala. If you have any students in Miftaah, any viewers are students at Miftaah, please let us know which program you're a part of as well. This last week, our seminary kicked off with all of our programs, all of our different classes. And alhamdulillah, it's been an enjoyable, hectic last few weeks. And inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to continue doing the work that we so passionately enjoy, inshallah ta'ala. Without any further delay, I will inshallah bring on the first guest with Brother Kamal. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you feeling, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
I'm very well, alhamdulillah. Very well. Locked up in my house. We're currently in lockdown, but making the most out of it.
I'm just going to be honest, man. You guys have been in lockdown for a long time. What's going on in that country?
We actually haven't been, well, relatively speaking, it hasn't been a long time because last year we had it fairly easy. But
I see. Okay, this year was harsher.
The past 3 months have been torturous. But alhamdulillah, we're making the most out of it, trying to stay sane.
Allah protect you. Allah protect you. Allah protect you. Ameen. We had Ustad Wahaj on a few weeks ago. He's from Perth, right? And yes. So we said to him, Ustad, why is it so that you guys are still in lockdown? And he said to me that we are following the sunnah. That if we're here, we stay, and no one's allowed to leave, no one's allowed to come in. I said, yeah, it's true, but it's not part of the sunnah to have $9,000 flights to leave the country. I heard, my wife's from Australia, from Melbourne, and the flights going in and out, the mid is so expensive, right? Because they don't want people to leave, so it's like a deterrence, right? So it's pretty interesting. How's everything in Sydney though? How are the Muslim community and?
Yeah, like to be honest, there is a lot of frustration on the ground, especially with the Muslim community. I don't want to go into the details. But Sydney is just it's a very polarized space to be right now. Allah make it easy for us. We're struggling. There's a bit of classism, racism in the way that the policies are being implemented in terms of the lockdown. So our areas, predominantly migrant communities, lower social economic classes are having curfews, stricter regulations, and people are very, suspicious about why this is being allowed to take place. So it's not the vibe on the ground right now in Sydney isn't the best, but we're trying our best to, I guess, fight through it, and inshallah Allah gives us strength to persevere.
Inshallah, you guys make the most of it. I know you're joining.
Make dua for us.
I mean, inshallah, you make dua for us too, because we're, we are in the open. We're just, things are, of course, there's two sides of the coin. So though in the States things are more open, there's still a sense of fear that something, people can contract the virus and so on and so forth. But Kamal, you joined us once before, yes, pre-COVID, right? Was it pre-COVID, or like right when COVID started?
I believe it was in July or August last year.
Yes.
As I said, last year we did have lockdown and all that, but it was laid back. It wasn't as it is right now. Like, it's very intense, and don't get out of your house without a mask, and otherwise the police will come after you. So, alhamdulillah, last year we had it very easy compared to the rest of the world.
Allah bring ease back, inshallah, to your country and to your home, inshallah, and everywhere else in the world as well. Last time you joined us, we were able to have you for the entire session. This week we have you for the first part, and then we have Shaykh Mikaeel Smith. So I apologize we weren't able to keep you on for the whole session, but inshallah, I'm sure we will still benefit and enjoy the poems that you will share with us and your insights. I know I thought it was a few months ago, but now since you told me it was 9 months ago that I reached out to you, and you were telling me that time flies. You were having your second child, mashallah. Now Isa is his name. Mashallah, Allah protect him and yatawal umrah, inshallah. And I mean, and you have a first one. What's his or her name?
Muhammad and Isa.
Mashallah, mashallah. Allah protect both of them.
Trying to go in order.
And trying to go and then you go back.
We'll see how it goes.
Alhamdulillah. So I'm not sure if you've since the last time you've joined us, if you've put any new poems together. Have you been working on anything specific, or?
To be honest, once you have children, like, they take up your whole time, and especially given that we have lockdown and we're at home a lot of the time, you're like hands on, and I don't have the time to write as much as I used to, but I have written one extra poem. Alhamdulillah, I put that out at the start of the year. It was called "What Have You Done for This Day?" A pretty, I guess, an intense poem, but it was something that I felt was much needed. But,
you want to start with that? You want to end with that?
Let's start with that, so we don't end on a heavy note. What do you think?
Heavy note. Bismillah. I'm gonna jump off, inshallah.
Yeah. So it's called "What Have You Done for This Day?" A poem which was inspired literally by I visited the cemetery once, and I just saw a bunch of people that I've become more familiar with the cemetery. First when I started to visit the cemetery in my younger years, I didn't know anyone. And now when I visit the cemetery, I'm starting to know the people. So I have a friend here, a friend there. I don't really have relatives because I don't really have relatives in the country, but I have people that I know are starting to fill up the plots in the graveyard. And it got me thinking, like, one day I'm going to be here. One day I'm going to be in this plot. And I started to just ask myself, what have you done to end up here, or when you end up here? So what have you done for this day? I'll read it now, inshallah. Bismillah. What have you done for the day your body is laid onto a bed of dirt, mud, and clay, in a hole that is cold, dark, and grey, 6 feet deep, only to be locked away? As your family gathers outside to pray, they say their goodbyes and cry until they can no longer stay. You hear their footsteps slowly fade until you come to realize that you are now all alone in your grave. The silence sinks in until you are suddenly faced by 2 angels who sit you up in your place, asking, who is your Lord, who is your prophet, and what is your faith? What will you say? What have you done for the day the trumpet is blown and our bodies are raised out of our graves and onto the plains, under the sun without any shade, barefoot and naked with nothing to cover our shame? On the day we stand sweaty and scared from terrors of which no one is spared, terrors so frightening even a child is left grey-haired. So what have you prepared For the day a mother abandons her young, a father will flee from his son, and everyone will panic and run as though they are drunk, but they are not drunk. وَلَكِنَّ عَذَابَ اللَّهِ شَدِيدٌ. Rather, the punishment of Allah is severe. So what have you done for this day? For the day the scales are brought and our works are weighed, the books are dispersed and our deeds are displayed, every major, every minor, every action that was made, and even if it was an atom, it will be written on a page. So what have you done for this day? On the day all is revealed and all secrets are leaked, our lips will be sealed and our limbs will speak, from our hands to our feet, bearing witness of all we used to reap. So what have you done for this day? For the day the fire is exposed for all to see, causing all of mankind to drop to its knees, trembling and weak, begging God, please, if you just take us back, we'd be of those who believed. So what have you done for this day? For the day paradise is brought near, towards the pious and towards the sincere. For them is no sadness, for them is no fear, for them is a life of everlasting happiness and cheer. So will you be of those in Al-Jannah or those in As-Sa'ir? What have you done for this day? For the day we take the sirat over the blaze and tread on a path thinner than a hair yet sharper than a blade. Will you be of those who fall or those who are saved? يَوْمَ يَعَضُّ الظَّالِمُ عَلَى يَدَيْهِ. On a day an oppressor will bite on his hands, scream out and say, how I wish I had taken with the messenger away. How I wish I did not take such a friend as a friend, for he led me astray. How I wish I was of those who obeyed. So what have you done for this day? AKA the day of judgment, the day of regret, the day of resurrection, also known as the day of recompense. So if you hear these words, I urge you to stop and reflect. Take a moment to pause and repent. Make an intention to make some amends and ponder this question again and again until you reach the very end. What have you done for this day? Yeah, so that's what have you done for this day? A question we need to
Beautiful.
again in your head, you know, consistently, continuously ask ourselves.
That was beautiful, Brother Kamal. And
Allah
obviously what you said in the beginning, I mean, you know, there's ayat in the Quran have shan nuzul, the background of revelation. A hadith, there is a science called sabab wurud al-hadith, the background of why a hadith was mentioned, though it's not a science that many people choose to dive into as much. But it's a beautiful science on when the Prophet said what he said and why he said it. And I feel that when we learn the background of those narrations and those ayat, they bring so much context. The backdrop allows us to understand it correctly. And what you said in the beginning gives us context, where you now go into a cemetery, a place of, you know, a maqbara. And once upon a time, there were a few people that we recognized and knew, names that we knew, people that we knew. So it was somewhat of an unfamiliar place for us. And a human is always an enemy to that which he is ignorant of. If he doesn't understand it, doesn't recognize it, he will always be an enemy to it. That's why you know, ta'arruf is so important in recognizing each other and understanding where we come from, because it allows us to connect better. There was a great scholar by the name of Shaykh Sulaiman Mullah. He had a statement where he said, the cemetery is a place that is the most silent of places with the loudest message. It's the quietest place, but it has the loudest message and the most clear message. Not much needs to be said for the message to be understood. And you articulated that better than anyone else that I've heard a poem from in regards to the day of judgment and leaving this world. What have you done for this day? So, I mean, which is interesting. Your a'mal is, I always tell my students that, you know, it's like your resume when you apply for a job. You know, someone has to look at your resume, you have an interview. Well, our a'mal is a book of deeds that we have, and then we have an interview with Allah, which is hisab. And either one of two things will happen. One is أُولَٰئِكَ يَقْرَؤُونَ كِتَابَهُمْ وَلَا يُظْلَمُونَ فَتِيلًا. They will read their books on their own because they're so excited. هَاؤُمُ اقْرَءُوا كِتَابِيَهْ. They're going to read it on, some people will be reading it on their own because they're so excited. And the other, أما من أوتي كتابه وراء ظهري, their books will be behind their backs as if they don't want to show anyone. It's like if you got bad grades in your exam, you don't want anyone to see your paper. Did you get your report card? No, I didn't get it back yet. It's still not here. Back in the days when we were kids, you hide your report card from your parents. I never got it back yet. It's not here yet. Allah forced them to bring it in front and say, no, اقرأ كتابك. You don't have an option to read. اقرأ كتابك. Read it. كفى بنفسك اليوم عليك حسيبا. You yourself are enough of a witness. You know where you're going. I don't need to tell you where to go. Because you can read your book. So may Allah make us amongst those that once we read our book, receive in the right hand and allowed to progress in the stages of the akhirah with ease, receive the shafa'ah to the Prophet ﷺ, and also be a source of shafa'ah for others. So Jazakallah khair for the beautiful, beautiful poem. Do you have any other comments on the poem, in that message, in that poem that you were sharing?
Yeah, so I felt like it's perhaps one of the most important messages we need right now. Like, I've always felt, and I don't mean this in any disrespect whatsoever, I feel like it's important. But like when it comes to da'wah today, or when it comes to the way we manifest Islam or present Islam, or even when the first things that come to our mind when we say, what makes a Muslim, right? I feel like today you go up to a person and you ask them, what makes a Muslim a Muslim? They'll say, oh, he's a good person. He's someone who's kind to his neighbor. He's someone who looks after the sick, someone who looks after his parents, someone who does all these good actions in this world. And then this is all fine and beautiful. And it's actually like something we overemphasize in today's da'wah, which is great.
Great.
But I feel like the first thing that should come to your mind when you say this person is a Muslim is this person believes that when he dies, he's going to be resurrected and he's going to meet Allah and he's going to either go to Jahannam or Jannah. And this is what we believe. This is what we believe. Al-ilmu bil-ghayb, he believes in the unseen. And this is what defines a Muslim. In Surah Al-Baqarah, the first quality of the muttaqeen, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. The first quality, they believe in the unseen. And we need to bring it back to the forefront. In a world where it's all about Instagram and the superficial and the physical and that which you can see, I feel like as Muslims, one of the primary purposes, and I say this, Ya Allah, protect me from hypocrisy and protect me from falling short in spreading this message, is we need to emphasize that Muslims are those who believe in the unseen more so than the seen. Our whole deen is about the unseen. So I felt like that was the inspiration.
They say that hearing is deceiving and seeing is believing. And I think in our context is seeing is deceiving and hearing is believing. What we see is not true. We see fire burns, but Ibrahim was not burned by the fire. We see that a whale swallows and eats someone alive, and Yunus was not eaten alive. We see that being alone in a cave can draw you away from humanity, and the Prophet ﷺ was drawn towards humanity. So it's the opposite, right? But it's a beautiful message, Abdullah Kamal. Allah bless you for the beautiful message. That's why I wanted you to share your insights on the poem that you just shared. Inshallah, what do you have for us next? Can you do the mother one again, if you don't mind?
The mother one again?
Maybe in the end.
In the end, we'll end on the mother one. There was I've really I've done a lot of poems last year, and I don't really have a long list of poems. Alhamdulillah, I just write them as I go. But there was one poem I never done last time, which I could do today, inshallah. This was actually a poem I wrote with the intention of speaking to the mirror. So I'm speaking to the mirror. It's called De-Depression. But alhamdulillah, I had a beautiful brother, Isam, from Seattle, USA.
We've had him on, alhamdulillah. Great brother.
Beautiful brother, amazing brother. I got him on and I said, I want you to do this part. So instead of like a mirror, let's have you talk to me.
I've watched it. It was beautiful.
Yes, De-Depression. And I feel like that's a message that.
Hey, man, you told me before I would have learned Isam's lines. I would have just done his lines for you, man. You want
to do Isam's part?
I'm just messing around, man.
Yeah, come on, man.
Poem for you. I'll just enjoy listening, man. Inshallah. Bismillah.
So yeah, this is a poem, very important, but maybe at the end I can share some insights if there's time. So bear in mind, I'm going to be reading Isam's parts as well. So I'll make it clear when it changes, inshallah. Truth is, my life is a mess. I'm sad and upset, sick and depressed. I got stress on my chest and I'm sinking in debt and my relationship's wrecked. It's breaking my neck and I can't find a job. Man, I got nothing left. Ask me how I was. Man, I wish I was dead. I'm upset. I'm upset. Man, I'm upset. Whoa, brother, just breathe, man. Lift up your head. I understand what you mean, but don't you forget, this life is a test. That's what Allah said. He made life and death to test who was best in deeds. I mean, what you expect for it to be ease, for it to be rest, for us to just leave, for us to be left, to say that we believe without any tests? Nah, of course it gets hard as tests become large, but as hard as it gets, it doesn't last. Brother, I understand what you're saying. I just don't have the patience. I'm tired and anxious. I swear I can't take this. I can feel myself breaking. I don't know if God hates me because that's what they say to me. I'm stressed and depressed because apparently I'm low in Iman. Or it is as though I'm not reading the Quran. Man, I'm trying my best. I'm just sick of it, man. I don't know why it's happening. I just don't understand. Brother, you just keep doing the best that you can. And whatever happens, it happens. It's all in God's plan. Just put your trust in Allah. It's all in His hands. And ignore what they say because they misunderstand. See, Allah will test those that He loves. Just look at the best of the best, the messenger of Allah. He had it so rough. He had it so tough, man. He had it so hard. But despite it all, He was the most beloved. Brother, I'm trying to believe. But I'm torn and I'm weak. See, at night I can't sleep from all my worries and grief. It's brought me to my knees. Then in that case, you're in the best place you can possibly be to call upon your Lord in need. For verily in the remembrance of God, hearts find relief. Brother, please. I'm sorry you don't know my story. You don't know where I've been. Yeah? But I know that surely after every hardship comes ease. Surely after every hardship comes ease. So don't lose hope and don't you ever despair. And no matter how hard it gets, Allah will never burden your soul more than it can bear. I'm only saying this because I love you. Wallahi, I swear. Thank you, my brother. It's good to have someone there, to have somebody by my side who actually cares. So I thank you for listening. Just please keep on visiting. I'm sorry if I was bickering. I know I have flaws. I just need your support. Brother, this is exactly what Muslims are for. This is what the Prophet ﷺ he taught. So don't be afraid to reach out for help and don't be ashamed to look out for your health. And know that in order to change, it starts with yourself. May Allah make it easy for you and everyone else. Ameen. That's called Dear Depression. I hope it made sense when I was flipping from person to
No,
person.
it made sense. Trust me, it made sense. MashaAllah. It was
Alhamdulillah.
beautiful, man. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, go ahead, Habibi. Tell us the quick background of this poem as well. You said that you want to share some insights about it.
Yeah. So with this poem, so I'm gonna be a bit honest, a bit raw. Like I don't
Please.
really be raw and honest sometimes when I present my videos, but there's a gathering here. I'm sure brothers will understand, sisters will understand. So there's what you call a bandwagon of people that are raising awareness for mental health and people that just jump on this bandwagon because it's cool, it's the in thing, it's the woke thing to do, right? And that's not right. That's not what we're meant to be doing. We're not meant to just be on this this cause of raising awareness for mental health because it's the cool thing to do or the in thing to do. But nevertheless, we should do it sincerely for the sake of Allah and because it's well entrenched in our deen. And there was one thing that really pushed me towards doing this, and that was I felt like there was a subtle movement of people trying to, and let me explain this. There's a subtle movement of people trying to disconnect between our deen and mental health. And I know very well, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to be misconstrued or misinterpreted. I know very well there's a line where we say this is for psychological clinic. This person needs clear clinical psychological help. He needs the help of professionals, the help of experts. I don't deny there is a line there where we have to say, go seek professional counseling. And I'm a proponent of that. And I strongly believe in that and strongly call towards that implementation. However, I feel like some people are subtly trying to disregard the contribution of Islam to this field, which I believe Islam has so much to offer when it comes to helping people with their mental health. We have a strong tradition, a solid tradition of the Prophet ﷺ coming towards people that were feeling down, feeling grieved, from the youngest of people, Ya Aba Nu'ayd Mada Fa'ala Nughayr, to the younger brother of Anas bin Malik, if I'm correct, where he was concerned and he taught us to be concerned for the people that are grieving, for the people that are sad. And there's even another hadith when he sees Abu Umama, I think it was, in the masjid, and he teaches him the famous dua, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan wa min al-ajzi wal-kasal wa min al-bukhli wal-jubn. So there is a tradition within our Islamic faith of us being at the forefront of mental health, of helping people with mental health. But at the same time, I understand professional help is needed. So I wanted to bring this to the surface, bring this to the light. And I just want to give a shout out to the next speaker. Shaykh Mikaeel wrote a beautiful book on the emotional intelligence of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is something which is in hand with being concerned for the emotional well-being of those around us. So that's my
no, it's beautiful. Like what I think the idea that you wanted to put these two things together and remind yourself and ourselves and everyone around that we are not perhaps in the back foot of this. We are actually in the front foot. We're on the front lines of discussing these topics within the paradigm of our deen. So I think that's absolutely beautiful. And I'm gonna bring Shaykh Mikaeel Smith on right now.
I hope I didn't say anything that upset him. I hope I didn't.
How are you?
I hope I didn't speak on your put words in your mouth. I hope I didn't put words in your mouth.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Yo, first of all, it's an honor to be with the spoken word artist, poet Kamal. Man, mashallah, the poets are so important to our society. That's a whole nother topic. But and I didn't introduce say salam to everyone properly. But one of the things I felt with this poem, what was so beautiful, is you said about how you were like looking in the mirror, right? But what I also felt was it teaches us also how to help our brothers and sisters through hard times too. You feel what I'm saying? Like that was powerful in the sense that, you know, man, we all need each other. We all need each other. You know, like people will call me like, Sheikh, I'm feeling down, whatever. 2 minutes, 20 minutes later, an hour later, I'm calling my friend. I'm like, yo, man, I'm feeling upset. And he's boosting me up. You know what I'm saying? So I felt this was so powerful just from the perspective of teaching us, listen, even in the state that you yourself don't feel 100% like everything's perfect, you got to be there to help other Muslim brothers and sisters out and boost them. You know what I'm saying? And you'll find that helps you too. So when I listened to it, I saw the part of the mirror, right? But I also saw the other side where it was like, man, this is how I need to be with other people. That's all I just wanted to add to it. Yo, I don't want to take from your light, man.
Wow. No, you can take everything.
Man, Allah bless you, Sheikh.
I mean, I'm gonna get the stage back to y'all, man. But I just felt like, man, that was profound, man. I love it. Jazakallahu khair, man.
Allah barak fik. You know, at the end of the video, so whoever's watched the video, Islam actually disappears at the end. I don't know if anyone's watched that, and he disappears, and I done like a disintegration effect on After Effects. Pretty cool. I didn't do it because it looks cool, but like I left it as an open-ended question. People asking, what does that mean? Why did he disappear? And lots of people did interpret that he's speaking to himself. Other people interpreted it a bit more dark, but at the same time, you know, I seek refuge in hypocrisy, but we need to be there for others. Even a smile, a smile does so much. You know, it goes far.
I mean, what Shaykh Mikaeel was saying, like sometimes you yourself are down, but are still able to pull someone else up. And 99% of the time, that was the Prophet ﷺ's situation. He himself was challenged by some type of, difficulty, but he was still able to bring someone else up. We think that, خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ هَلُوعًا إِذَا مَسَّهُ الشَّرُّ جَزُوعًا وَإِذَا مَسَّهُ الْخَيْرُ مَنُوعًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says this human being has been made in halu'a, which means he's constantly anxious. إِذَا مَسَّهُ الشَّرُّ جَزُوعًا. When difficulty comes and afflicts him, they become extremely anxious. They get frightened, and everyone needs to find out about it. And everyone is there, and they want everyone to know about their challenge and difficulty. So because people know about their challenge and difficulty, they know that you can't seek help from me right now. But When goodness comes to them, they hold it. They hold it back. No about this. This is from me, right? And that's the opposite of how believers are. When goodness comes, we share it with others. When difficulty comes, we mourn with Allah. إِنَّمَا أَشْكُ بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. This is my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Kamal, may Allah bless you for bringing this poem to light, over his insights. I know, Kamal, you have one more to share with us.
Hold on, yo. There was one more thing about that poem, though. He said something deep in there, yo. And yo, lyrics need to be analyzed. Like, listen, yo, people that I had days of Jahiliyyah, right? So we used to hear the new, like, forgive me, Mufti Sub, but we used to hear like the newest Jay-Z joint drop, right? And we would sit there and literally like analyze every lyric. Yo, maybe he said this, maybe he said that, and fi kulli wadin yahimun, as Allah says, like those dudes, they just going everywhere. But this was deep, yo, because he said something. What was it? He said something about me reading Quran, and like they're saying my iman is weak just because I'm feeling sad. Yo, can you say those verses, those lines to us one more time, man?
Or is it because I'm not reading the Quran? I'm trying my best. I just don't understand. He says that.
Yo, listen. That's heavy. That's Mufti Sub. That's heavy because there's, for a long time there was this stigma where just read more Quran. You're not pious enough, man. You're not pious enough. And so he hit the nail on the head where you tell somebody I'm depressed and like, yo, you gotta read some more Quran. He's like, what you mean, man? Like,
what are you doing, man?
Like, come on, man. You trying to say like yeah, he hit the nail on the head. I just felt that was heavy.
And by no means is it to like the Quran is a shifa, it's a rahmah.
No doubt.
But even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, قد نعلم إنه ليحزنك الذي يقولون. We know that you're feeling sad from what they're saying. Like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he experienced this sadness. It's a human quality. So we will go through these stages. So at the end of the day, we still need to be there for one another. Smile for one another.
Yeah, and just to add to that, yeah, you good. Just to add to that, I think a lot of people miss out on the amul huzn. Like there was a year of sadness. Like he was reading Quran, he was doing dhikr, he was praying, but he had an like, yo, that's we call it by that amul huzn. Now I understand that we all understand the backdrop of it, but we can recognize that the Prophet himself at the highest spiritual level was still feeling emotionally like sad, which we could say is fine. And we don't always have to connect my religious actions with my emotional state. That's what I felt from those lines.
Wow. That's deep. It means a lot from you, Sheikh.
Go ahead. Yo, y'all can get me out. Cut me out.
I felt like I've waited for too long now. I think it's time. Like we have to.
No, man, come on. Yo,
come on, just finish with the mother.
The mother?
Yeah, if you don't.
Yo, hold on. I got I know we got a program, but yo, if my man Kamal could just drop some stuff and we just analyze his lyrics, I'm telling you, the audience would benefit so much from that, yo.
There's a website called genius.com and they analyze lyrics. They actually already analyzed the depression one.
Oh, dang, yo, I'm behind the schedule, yo. I don't even know.
There is one thing I just want to add, and it's actually, I think it's important as a clarification. There's a line in there, and maybe, I'm sorry for taking from your time, but there's a line in the poem where I actually went back and I had to reconsider, where I said, and Allah will not hold you. If I could just grab it. Allah will not. Allah doesn't like. What do I say? What do I say? All right. And no matter how hard it gets, Allah will never burden your soul more than it can bear. Look, I said that, but I went back to the tafsir of this verse, the famous verse, La yukallifu Allahu nafsan illa wus'aha. And I felt like that verse, although it has weight to it, I don't think I don't know, you guys are the muftis and the mashaykh, is that verse like acceptable to be there? Allah will not burden your soul more than it can bear. Because from what I understand from this verse, it's about taklif, about Allah, how do we say, charging a soul in terms of his capacity according to the Sharia. He will not overburden a soul according to the Sharia. But there are times when we will go through a test that may be. I don't know. I think this is too deep. We can.
But Kamal, like the Mufassirun, the earlier Mufassirun have taken this ayah in two ways. One that you're just referring to, and the other is there's a difference between istita'a and taklif. Istita'a is the capacity that Allah has given us in regards to ibadat, and taklif is the capacity Allah has given us in regards to bala and difficulties. And some Mufassirun say that this entire passage came down in Isra and Mi'raj. And every dua the Prophet made in Isra and Mi'raj was accepted. And amongst the du'as that he made in Isra and Mi'raj, and this was a response to it, was رَبَّنَا تُحَمِّلْنَا مَا لَا طَاقَةَ لَنَا بِهِ. And the response to that was لَا يُكَلِّفُ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا إِلَّا وُسْعَهَا. So there's a certain consensus on the fact that it does refer to that. So what that means is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will expand a person's capacity as well. Not everyone is, when you tell someone that I don't think I can handle this, yeah, it's true. But when it happens to the person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expands their ability to handle it. Where even Yaqub lost one son and he thought he couldn't handle it. Then he lost a second one, right? And his response was always, and today we'll talk about that with Shaykh Mikaeel, like keeping a positive mentality. Asallahu an ya'tiyani bihim jami'a. He didn't say like, oh Allah, bring me Binyamin back. No, ya Allah, bring me Binyamin and Yusuf back.
Allah,
like, bring me both back, right? So yes, that line that you have is correct, but our strength and our ability to cope with difficulty is dependent to our strength with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And hopefully the more strength in this relationship that we have, the more we're able to handle challenges. And the Prophet, a man came to the Prophet and said, Ya Rasulullah, Wallahi inni la uhibbuk. I love you. I just love you, man. And the Prophet said, Undur madha taqul. Watch out for what you say. Like the guy said, I love you. I love you 3 times. The Prophet then said, then prepare for difficulties in poverty, in famine, in hardships, because whosoever loves me may have to deal with these challenges. So I don't think that was, of course we're nobodies, but the line in the context of how you had it was correct. And that's our understanding of, one of our understandings of it.
But of a relief, but
can I just put a little there too? Like, I love it. I think in the situation that we're dealing with someone who's feeling that life is heavy. I heard Ustad Ubaidullah Evans, he said something beautiful like 3 years ago. I was with him somewhere and I will never forget. He was talking about suicide, and I know it's a very touchy issue, and we leave it to the specialist, no doubt, right? But he said something like, one of the feelings that a person goes through is this feeling of being trapped, as if they're in a burning building. They're in a burning building and there's nowhere to go. And so one of the things that they teach is your role is to show how many other avenues there are, how many other places there are to go. And why am I bringing that up? I'm bringing that up because life may feel like it's too heavy to carry at times, but the role that our brothers, our sisters, our wives, our husbands, or anyone that wants to be a brother to another brother or a sister to, our role is to show that Allah is Kareem. There's more room for you. The word leak in the Quran almost always means like a bad thing. Like means like tight. We want to show how vast, like, no, Allah's mercy is there. You look, this option is going to open up. That's going to open up that. Like, we want the person to feel like, wait, there's so much I can do. So I guess when we talk about too much to handle, many of us will feel that. We all three of us here have felt moments where like, I can't take this. And then someone's like, yes, you can. Now, the best example I give is a good spotter or a good trainer. A good trainer will put weights on you that you think you can't do, but you will end up doing it. And when you do it, it'll make you stronger. You know what I'm saying? But before you look, you're like, yo, I can't do that. He's like, yes, you can. And you will. You know what I mean? So, wallahu alam, I just want to add, like, yeah, man, we all feel at moments that I can't do it. I can't do it. And wallahu alam, I've never read this nowhere. Maybe, I don't know if it's correct. May Allah reward. If not, ya Allah, forgive me. But in the beginning of Revelation, the Prophet says, I can't do it. He says, read. He's like, I can't. He's like, read. I can't. Read. I can't. And he starts from a place of, I can't do this. And he's supported by his wife, by everyone around him. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And before you know it, he's the most influential man and the most, had the most impact on lives until Qiyamah. And that's who he is. But at the beginning, he's like, I can't handle this. I can't do this. You know, wallahu alam. It's just a few thoughts.
100% accurate, man. Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. That was some deep stuff.
Yo, come on, hold up. Yo, Mufti sub, yo, forgive me, bro. You ain't gonna call me on again. I already know. Yo, but hold up. Yo,
come on.
Yo, hear me out on this joint. He said, whoa, brother, just breathe, man. Lift your head up. I understand what you mean. Yo, this is deep, because one of the things that is important to do when we're helping our brothers is build that understanding, that emotional understanding. Like, I feel you, like I'm here with you, I experience your feeling. But then right after that, what he says is so profound. He says, but don't you forget, this life is a test. That's what Allah said. So what he does here is really deep from a like a therapeutic perspective. He's changing the perspective of the person. You know what I'm saying? He's like, wait, hold up. This life is a test. And the person's like, oh yeah, yo. Yeah. Now I'm looking at the situation completely. So when I read that, I was like, the way he went through that is very instrumental for me and you. The first thing we need to do is learn how to listen. And low key, Kamal and Mufti Sub, I'm working on my next book right now. Please make dua for me that I can get through it. The book is about prophetic listening. Prophetic listening.
That's beautiful.
Wow.
Make dua. I'm working on it, bro. I'm working on it. But one of the things they say about listening is it's so interesting that the function of listening is so that you can experience what the other person who's speaking is experiencing, right? Like, it's as if you're there with them. So you build this affinity through listening. But once you build that connection through listening, now you can help guide them because they feel like you're a part of their journey now. So I just want to comment on this point where he goes, I understand what you mean. And so many of us try to offer advice without coming from a place of understanding first.
100%.
Wallahu alam.
That's beautiful, Shaykh. You know, listening. Just to add something to the listening aspect. Listening is the first element of prophetic guidance. فَاسْتَمِعْ لِمَا يُوحَى.
Allahu Akbar. You gotta write that down. Mufti Sab, taking it.
Let's
The
go in
first
the book.
command Musa was given, alayhi salam, after فَخْلَعْنَا عَلَيْكَ, which is take off your shoes, meaning come to knowledge with etiquettes. Take your shoes off and come. The second command he was given was فَاسْتَمِعْ لِمَا يُوحَى. Now is a time to listen. And listen until you see what listening can do for you. And what listening can do for you is take a staff that was able to benefit you only in the mundane things of this world, and now it can benefit you in defeating the Pharaoh. And then you have the ability to speak, and you say, Rabbi shrah li sadri. Well, I want to speak, Ya Allah, but I don't know how to speak. When you listen well enough, then you realize, I don't really know how to speak. Ishrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. And now Allah says, go to Fir'aun, because first it was listen. وَقَالُوا لَوْ كُنَّا نَسْمَعُ أَوْ نَعْقِلُ مَا كُنَّا فِي أَصْحَابِ السَّعِيرِ. The people of Jahannam will actually be saying that how I wish we just listened. يَوْمَ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى السُّجُودِ فَلَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ. They won't have the ability to listen on the day of judgment because they never listen in this world.
Yeah.
Listening is a component of prophetic guidance. So may Allah allow us to listen
100%.
not only to وَإِذَا قُرِيَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ. We listen. And then once we listen, that allows us to affect the people around us. I don't want to continue speaking. I'm going to bring Bajan. Can I bring you on? Okay. This is long awaited. Shaykh Mikaeel, Brother Kamal, look, you can stay on if you don't mind. But if you have to leave, you can leave. It's up to you.
I'm chilling, yo.
Yeah, but Brother Kamal is early morning for him. So
it's early morning. Yo, he got one more poem for us, the mother joint, man.
Okay, but I'm going to bring Shaykh Abdullah quickly before, just to say salam to him. So Shaykh Abdullah hasn't been on Friday Night Live for 5 sessions. He's kept me all alone. Shaykh Mikaeel, look, come on. I've been trying to keep Friday Night Live lit by myself. Shaykh is the light of Friday Night Live. He makes it enjoyable, and he's been missing for so many weeks, and I've been talking about him every single week. And people have been dropping off on Friday Night Live because he hasn't been here. So now he's making his grand entrance, like how Jordan did when he came back. May Allah bless him. And bring him back on, inshallah.
Jordan's return wasn't that good, though.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, guys.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How you doing, Shaykh Mikaeel, Brother Kamal, Mufti Wahab?
Now that you're here, we're good, yo.
I'm Mufti Wahab. I gotta give it to you, man. I've been listening to you for 6 Fridays, and it's time that you listen to me now.
Everybody listen, man. I'm gonna just stay quiet, get off the screen.
One of the first thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is gonna say on the day of judgment. He says, Ansitu fatalama nastu lakum. Allah's gonna say to mankind, shut your mouths. Listen to all your garbage, all my since I created you. Mundu khalaqtukum asmu aqwalakum wa anduru a'malakum. So now Allah is gonna be like, it's time for me to speak because I heard all the rubbish that you had to say. But honestly, you guys have been saying great stuff. Mufti Wahab, I have to give you kudos. For the last month and a half, I was in Pakistan.
You're good, Bijan.
And I kind of tried to tune in when I had time. But honestly, you and I saw Shaykh Mikaeel, I saw Mufti Rahman, I saw the guest speakers from, I think you had another scholar from Australia on one of the nights. And mashallah, perfect night to join you guys because you have Shaykh Mikaeel and Ustad, brother Kamal from all you in Australia, brother Kamal?
Sydney.
That's it. Those guys, they're not allowing anybody in or out. That's how it is. They're just allowing poetry out of that country. But alhamdulillah,
locked up.
Allah make it easy. Allah make it easy. Listen. I heard Sheikh Hamza Yusuf say, adunya sijnul mu'min, right? Like he's like, we're all in sijns. We just got different sizes, man. That's it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
We're in Australia right now with the tight one. That's it. They'll be out soon, though.
They'll be out soon.
Sheikh Mikaeel, how you doing? How's your family?
Yeah, man, we're good, man. Make dua for us. Classes have resumed at Kalam in person. So I'm really excited, to sit in those gatherings of knowledge again is different than online. So very excited. I'm in a bit of a transitional stage, as y'all can see. You know what I mean? I got we
don't see that. We just see the books. The books, keep that backdrop of the books. That's good enough.
I had to find the one place in the house where it was okay.
Are you moving?
We're this is like international right now. You know what I mean? So yeah, pretty much. Make dua. Make dua.
Inshallah, your transition goes.
Yeah. Someone's saying, your in-laws trapped you. We understand your situation, Sheikh.
Oh, that's at me, yo. That's at me or at him.
No, not you. Yeah. So when he was gone, he doesn't know this, but I kept saying that Sheikh Abdullah was his in-law. So they've trapped him there. So he's been.
I'm very fortunate. I have the best in-laws in the world, and
you better say that.
And part of it is my mom's youngest sister. She's my mother-in-law, and man, they treated me well. I kind of abused them. I was happy there. But in-laws, you gotta keep that straight face. You can't say too much. You gotta make sure you treat the daughter well, and try to get those brownie points.
MashaAllah.
But alhamdulillah, it's just, I take it as another mother and as a father. They're elderly people.
MashaAllah.
And my wife is the only child of her parents. So it was just a privilege to be around and then be there with my wife. And just for my children to be in Pakistan with their grandparents was also awesome. But overall, Shaykh Mikaeel, inshallah, Shaykh Mikaeel, I don't know if you guys told everybody online the good news, the great news, the new campus Kalam got. Tell a little bit about that.
Okay, so for those who just real quick history, Kalam Institute has been around for about, over 10 years or so. About 5 years ago, I, myself, and a few other instructors joined the team at Kalam. Basically, for those who don't know, because Kalam does so many things, we have a in-person seminary with this year we have over 200 students who come from all over the country, mashallah, and online all over the world. But we were operating out of a space that was only like 5,000 square feet in Arlington, Texas, basically Dallas, right? And it was so tight, man. We were like, you trying to like walk past sisters in the hallway. You like, oh, you go first because I'm gonna go next. It's too tight. You know what I mean? It's like, it's difficult. You know what I mean? So we finally realized.
You have someone like Shaykh Mikaeel who works out walking through the corridors. A big buff guy.
Come on,
man.
Him
all the time.
Come on, man. Come on. Allah protect us, man. Keep us sincere, inshallah. So when we ended, COVID kicked in after last year. We're like, we need to find a campus. So we put in a few offers for some buildings. Obviously, when people found out we were Muslim trying to buy, we'd all of a sudden get like the silent treatment. You know what I mean? Like people's offers were getting accepted that like didn't go with the contingencies, crazy stuff. We're like,
it's Texas. It's Texas.
It's Texas. Exactly. So I ain't gonna get the whole thing, but all of a sudden, opportunity came up of a beautiful campus. I think it's 50,000 square feet, a massive parking, beautiful, and you can see it on Kalam's website. And we just was like put the metal to the to the ground. Like we just started fundraising, and mashallah, you came in clutch, mashallah, Mufti Sab. But alhamdulillah, we were able to purchase the facility. And right now they're doing renovations. And so in about 2 to 3 months, bi'idhnillah, we'll be in that new campus, inshallah ta'ala. That's where Roots, Ustad Abdul Rahman Murphy, Roots will be in there. There'll be a community masjid, and we'll also have the seminary, the classes and stuff.
It was time, because Kalam has done things for people nationally, internationally, and the podcast has so much viewership. And mashallah, for some reason, they always use Ustad Mikaeel, Shaykh Mikaeel, to do the tour. He's like the perfect tour guide of the campus. When you do it again, I was like, oh,
did you see me walking backwards? You see that joint where I was like, everyone's like, why were you walking backwards? I was like, I don't know, actually.
You should have had a hoverboard. That place is so huge.
Yeah, mashallah.
That place is big, because the last campus was like 6,000 square feet. Now it's like 50,000 square feet.
Yeah, man.
Mashallah, it was just seeing you walk through that door into the bigger building. It made me so happy, because, like, I don't know, like when you move from an apartment to like a mansion, and you're like, oh, I don't know what room to look at first. Yeah. But you guys are moving in from the office space area, and you guys really, really used every inch of that building.
Yeah.
And subhanAllah, kudos.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'll say, Mufti Sub, is like, we grew out of it. Sometimes you see Islamic institution, like we're buying stuff. We don't really need that extension there, and sometimes you feel bad. Like, why are we spending all this money on a chandelier? What I mean? This was so different because we really needed. They were like, we were turning students away. We were literally turning students away because we don't have occupancy for more than this many students. So alhamdulillah, we were able, the national community came through, really supported, and min janibillah, man, it just came together. And so
when Shaykh Abdul Nasser called me and he told me about it, and he was like, yeah, it's like, it's a $7-8 million project. We need 2.3. Yep. And he's like, he wasn't skeptical. He knew he could do it. And I'm like, Sheikh, this is a walk in the park, man. And he's like, how can you? I mean, for the person who's doing the project, you're kind of nervous, right? And I said, you don't know the magnitude of good work that you've provided to the community. MashaAllah, it doesn't evaluate in dollars and in money. It's just so much work, and I'm glad, and I'm so glad the community appreciated it by donating and also praying. So alhamdulillah, jazakallah khair to all those who supported.
Before we continue, I want to have Brother Kamal Saleh just do his last poem, if he doesn't mind.
The mother one?
Yeah, so you can let him go.
Because man, when he does that other stuff, man, it makes me cry, man.
I know.
You cried.
We can use some tears. It's okay. Oh yeah, your makeup's gonna come off.
Your makeup, man. I put like 20 minutes on the mirror trying to, do the miswak and stuff like that. That was my makeup today. But okay.
Man, let's go.
Good video too as well, Shaykh Mikaeel. I saw it on my sponsored ads. Beautiful.
Inshallah.
It came down here in Sydney. Don't worry.
All right.
I'll read the dear mum, inshallah. MUM, not MOM, inshallah. To the woman that loved me before I was born, to the woman that held my heart long before it had formed, to the woman who was left sleepless from dusk until dawn with weakness upon weakness for 9 months long, telling herself it would all be worth it soon as she rest assured. For when she finally made it through to that hospital ward, it was love at first sight the second she saw me. I mean, she's the type that would give up her only slippers just to make sure that my toes were warm. See, she would always favor me despite the fact she always needed it more. She would wake up early every single morn to stand freezing in the cold, hanging up the clothes we had worn, standing at the stove for hours, cooking bowls of food we would swarm. And whenever we weren't home, her heart would be torn. I mean, she could never go to sleep whenever we were gone. She would stay up all night next to the phone, although I would never call. So she sends me text messages, please, I can't sleep. Just let me know that you're safe and secure. And whenever I was sick, she would always know what was the cure. I mean, the love she gave to me was the best medicine that was pure. A prescription of tea, honey, and handmade lemonade. What more could I ask for? Alhamdulillah, or praise to the Lord. You did it all for me and not once ever asked for a reward. I mean, I still remember the nights when I was small. I could never go to sleep until I would call to you out from the bedroom door. Ghattini wa bawsini. Tuck me in and kiss me, please, and you would always be there for sure. See, the love you gave to me for all these years, it's impossible to ignore. I love you, and I'm sorry I've never told you all this before. I'm sorry for everything, Mum. I'm sorry for it all. I'm sorry for leaving you as soon as you taught me how to crawl. I'm sorry for saying oof every time you asked me to complete a simple chore. It doesn't make me less of a man to give you a hand whenever your arms get sore. I'm sorry again and again for all the promises I fell short. And I'm sorry I can't give you the life you wished for, the car you dreamt of, and the countries you wish to explore. But most of all, I'm sorry for all the pain that I caused, for all the nights you didn't sleep, and for all those missed calls, for all the fights we had and all the broken walls, the dirty rooms with the messy floors and the clothes that weren't packed back into their drawers, and for all the sacrifices you made that I never once ever recalled. Like when you became my mother, it meant that you had to move away from yours. I know how much you love her and I miss her, and I know it cuts you deep like a sword, but if it was up to me, I'd let you see her as much as I could afford. So I promise to make it up to you and become the son that you've always adored from now on. So forgive me. Forgive me for it all. Forgive me for everything I've ever done, ever since I was young, stupid, and dumb, just looking to have fun. Dear Mum, I love you. I love you. And I promise to never put anybody else above you, nor let anybody come in between. And now that I'm married, I promise you will always be my queen. Because there's no words in this world that can let you know how much you really mean to me. Nor is there any way in this world that I could ever repay you. So instead, I pray every day for you, that Allah has mercy on you the same way you had mercy on me. And I have one last request for you before you leave, please. Since Allah put paradise beneath your feet, please ask Allah to let paradise be the place where we finally meet. Ameen.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah. That was Mufti Wahab, man. That was super. That was excellent. The words, the lyrics, the topic, the discussion of the mother. I mean, you can't beat that. I mean, that's top-notch words. And when you first wrote this, were you like emotional, or you just kind of like wrote it through?
I'll be honest with you. So I'll tell you something embarrassing, something very embarrassing. Well, I don't know if it's embarrassing. Probably not for because the first time I read this, I presented it to my mother at an event for mothers, an Islamic event for mothers.
Wow.
And I literally wrote it that week, and it was a surprise for my mother in front of everyone. And by the end of the poem, I was a wreck.
Oh my!
I was a wreck. See, I told you. Man.
You set yourself up.
I was a wreck. I was it was the first time I cried in public, and it was a bit embarrassing. But I asked my brother in the crowd. He's like, "Don't worry, man. The boys at the back, they were all crying too." So I'm like, all right, that's true. My mom was very happy, and the crazy thing is that was my wife. That was the first time she ever saw me in public. That's what she tells me. She goes, "That was the first time I ever saw you in public on that day." So I was like, crazy.
If you're gonna cry in public, that would be a nice way to cry.
For your mom.
That'd be for your mom. You know, like honestly, like your mom has seen you cry when you were a child for candy, and it's about time that you cry in front of the public to appreciate her. And every child should have a moment like that. So people, I mean, all mothers were probably jealous of your mother because she has such a good child to appreciate her. So alhamdulillah. I mean, you shouldn't be embarrassed. You should be proud. And I wish I was there to witness that, because I would be in tears myself, because you can't translate the emotions at a live event like that when you first do it. It's amazing. Don't be embarrassed, man. That's something that's inspiring all the youth. Like I was inspired. I want to. My mom lives 80 miles from where I am right now. I'm like, man, I got to get in the car, go to meet my mom. But like, really, that's powerful. And may Allah give us who are young the ability to serve our parents and attain paradise through serving them. And like, I don't think we should do it for paradise. We should just do it to serve them. You know, like kind of like oh, I want that Jannah under the feet. Of course. But like honestly, like that's your mother, and just do it for the smile and get away with it. Khalas.
Allah bless you, brother Kamal, man. Imam, you're muted. Imam, you're muted. Just
You know, he said something. Just commenting on what Mufti Sahib just said. Like he had a line in there where he highlighted how the love that the mother shows is without expecting reward. You know what I mean? Like the sacrifice that they don't even think twice about it, or they're not even expecting anything back from it, you know? Man, that's just heavy. And the other thing that really hits me with this poem is because before Islam, and even Muslims, I know Muslims go through Jahiliyyah days, you know, when your mother watched you through those ignorant days, you know, those days when you were just wilding out, just doing silly stuff, man. And then when you become mature and you look back, it hurts, man. You're like, oh my God, like what was I putting mom through? You know? And he captured that so beautifully, man. So beautifully, man. Alhamdulillah.
Well, come on. All I'm going to say to you is, inshallah, you need to write more poems. Need some more writers. Let us know. We have a lot of students in our seminary that will love to write for you. In all honesty, they'll put things together because I think your talent is a talent that needs to be used as much as possible. And inshallah, every poem of yours is, and there's a lot of people that do now the new niche of Islamic poetry and even spoken word. I do believe that the story behind it makes a difference. And again, as I mentioned, the Sha'n Nuzul, the background, and the why it came into fruition. And Allah keep you grounded, keep you strong, keep all of us strong, but continue allowing you to do what you do best in creating art and creating poetry for all of us so we can benefit from.
Yo, I'm so sorry, but if you need an intention, and I know you already think about your intention enough, but I read this thing, Ibn Abbas, in his tafsir classes. Every now and then when the classes were getting really like dense, he would say something like imhidu. He would say to everyone, like, sit back, let's listen to some poetry. Like, and to me, it means so much because sometimes you're sitting at home and you just want to listen to something good for the soul. You know what I'm saying? Something wholesome, but something deep too. So, man, like these moments are precious, man. Poetry nights, man. I love it, man. Our hearts need it. And unfortunately, for a while, as a new convert back in the day, I always had to listen to like nasheeds that I couldn't even understand. And I'm sitting there like, okay, I think I can get with it. You know what I mean? Like, okay. You know what I mean? like I was like, all right, I guess it's the new joint, yo. You know what I mean? So now when you could go to YouTube and actually like hear something that talks to you from someone who's like you and grown up similar to you is so inspiring, man. So may Allah bless every one of your steps. May Allah guide your pen. May Allah guide your pen. May Allah fill it with nur, inshallah ta'ala, and make you a means of inspiration for this next generation, inshallah, man.
Well, it means a lot from you, Shaykh Mikaeel. Allah bless you. It means so much to me. Inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Habibi. I know we kept you much longer than we were supposed to keep you.
I'm honored to be here amongst the presence of you. MashaAllah.
Wait, so what? 10 o'clock in the morning there?
No,
It's about 12 now.
12:30.
12:30? Oh man, you're gonna go for lunch now.
Yeah, I got the kids
How many
running around.
Man, Allah bless you, Habibi. Allah bless your family, your children.
And barakah and everything you do, man. MashaAllah. Excellent work.
Jazakallahu khairan. Thank you so much for having me, and Allah bless you all.
Ameen. Mufti Wahab, is great that you brought him on.
Yeah, man.
And it's a perfect night to bring him on because Shaykh Mikaeel can analyze this kind of stuff. And like you said, poetry is like it's such a lively art. And it was the Prophet ﷺ deemed that he exposed the beauty of Islam through poetry. He had a concept. Every Sahabi that knew some poetry kind of like dropped lines all the time. It was, and I of course, Mufti Wahab knows I
Bajan, you're
love
an expert in Arabic poetry, Bajan. Why don't you share, why don't you drop something for us?
Yo,
Your
please,
favorite poem.
man, please.
No,
I don't know anyone else Arabic poetry like you. Bismillah.
No, we're not gonna drop.
And now you got the Moroccan juba on, like the blue and the blue. Like, what's going on there, man? Like, this is come back from your
I
trip.
got the Moroccan too, yo.
You got the Moroccan too. I'm the only Daisy looking brother here, man. Like, okay.
The only thing I can do Moroccan is eat their food and wear their clothes, man. Just appreciate.
That's good enough, man.
Yeah, but the thing is, like the Imam Shafi had like a little twist to it, like where in their earlier scholars, like poetry was considered to be the lowest art in language and lugha, like in fiqh. But of course, like لولا الشعر بالعلماء يزري لكنت اليوم أشعر من لبيدي ولولا خشية الرحمن ربي لحسبت الناس كلهم عبيدي وأشجع من وغى من كل ليث وآل مهلب وابن يزيدي. He talks about like I could be the biggest poet in the world, you know, but I kind of suppress my ego and kind of like figure fiqh out and do the other work that's necessary. But we see that how Shaykh Mikaeel said by Ibn Abbas, sometimes communities we're doing so many things over and over, and sometimes poetry, lyrics, art like this can encourage us to do more. And we see Abdullah bin Rawaha and Ja'far bin Abi Talib and Muta just kind of like in the eyes of death, and they gotta kind of like push themselves ahead. They drop lines, Same thing. Khubayb, لقد جمع الأحزاب حولي وألبوا قبائلا واجتمعوا كل مجمعي. He's like talking to himself, like, I got this, man. I'm going to Jannah. Like فلست أبالي حين أقتل مسلم على من كان في الله مصرعي فذلك في ذات الإله وإن يشاء يبارك على إشلاء شلوى ممزع. Like he's like telling himself, I'm all right, and he's not telling himself in like baby language. He's telling himself in like poetry, like I got this.
No, so yo, Mufti sub, this is so important because like, so it depends what culture you're from, but I understand like the Desi culture loves poetry too. The African American culture loves lyrical genius. You know what I'm saying? And so when you see the Sahaba dropping lines of poetry in the battlefield, man, the you get goosebumps, man. You know what I'm saying? And so like it's just so beautiful to sit back, relax, and not listen to a lecture, but just hear stuff that speaks to your heart. You know what I'm saying? And of course we need our lectures, we need our guidance. I'm just the fact that Hassan bin Thabit, as we all know, had a member set up. You know what I mean? Like all of that to me. And when you were reciting these poems during the thick of war, it's just like, man, it was in their blood. And now the other thing that I think I heard it was Sheikh Hamza Yusuf saying is the Quran is a lyrical miracle. Like it's a linguistic miracle. Afwan. It's a linguistic miracle. And so poetry, and unfortunately, like in some of our educational things, like the humanities have lost their importance. It's all about STEM and stuff like that. But poetry is an important gateway to understanding the beauty of the Quran. And I don't want to be long-winded because I want to hear from you guys. But one of the things that we were just doing in Jalalain is iltifat, right? So for the audience, you know when like the camera in a show is like first person camera, right? And then the camera switches to like second person where you're looking at two people, or like, and then there's third person. So in the Quran, there's so many examples where this rhetorical tool called iltifat, which is changing the perspective, happens. And the rhetorical power that's created is so profound when you're able to recognize these linguistic maneuvers, we could say, right? I forgot the verse. It was in Surah Al-Rum. We were just doing it. But the verse is all in third person. They do this, they. And then at the end, Allah goes, what are you going to do? And it's like, wait, that was for me the whole time? Like, whoa, what just happened there? Why did it switch to you? I thought you were talking about them. So I'm just giving an example of how these linguistic maneuvers that are so common in poetry. I'll give another one. Here's another one. I forgot what it's called in English, but one of the things that's really smooth that a lyricist can do is, it would have been nice to have, I know Kamal had to leave, but they can use the same word in a different way back to back, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of Surah Rum, the word sa'a, ma labithu ghayra sa'a, wa yawma taqumu sa'a, yuqsimu al-mujrimun, ma labithu ghayra sa'a. You get it, right?
Yes.
So, let me translate. I'm sorry if I forget. I'm sorry. This is public. This ain't just us chilling here, right? Like the verse goes, "Wa yawma taqumu sa'a," on the day that the hour is established. Now that doesn't mean an hour. It means the day of judgment. The criminals will say, "Ma labithu ghayra sa'a." We only remained in the grave or on earth only but an hour. So the word sa'a is used twice, but it's used in a different meaning twice. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just giving examples of how poetry makes
how poetry is using the Quran, pretty much in a sense.
Yeah, the linguistic maneuvers that are in poetry help you appreciate the brilliance of the Quran. And so they would take, as y'all know, and this is for our audience and for all of us, they would take verses of the Quran and give them to poets at the time of the Prophet, and they would give it back and say, no, this isn't the kalam of a human being.
It's not. You can't compare anything to it. That's what Waheed ibn Mughira said, right?
Yo.
He's like, إني أعلم بالأشعار منكم بقصائد الجن. He's like, listen, man. They try to use Waheed ibn Mughira, Khalid ibn Walid's father, to bring out language, a poem that can combat the Quran's linguistic. And he said, there's no one that knows poetry more than me in the language of jinns. He said, like even sorcery more than me. He says, إنه لا يعلى ولا يعلى يحطم ما تحته. This language, this Quran is always going to excel upon any other language. And anything, any art, any poetry that will come against the Quran, yuhattimu, it would literally shatter it. Like if there was a rap war with the Quran.
Yeah, thank you.
Like, I'm sorry, man. You're not gonna stand a chance.
You're done.
But the Quran, it's not. The funny part is the irony of this is that's not even the intent of the Quran.
Yep.
It's just like a side piece. The intent of the Quran is dhikra, tibyan, huda, furqan, other elements of the Quran. But like that's just you're gonna get that too because that's the kalam of Allah.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Yeah, Shaykh Bajan, so pretty much today's, I know we've I think we've been able to speak about these different things in light of Brother Kamal Saleh's beautiful words. And Matt, I think the insights for those poems were extremely important because it's beneficial. But the topic we had set for the limited time I think we have left, not that much time left, was the idea of positive thinking and taking something that perhaps seems like a negative and making it into a positive, and understanding that life is not always dull and gloomy, especially when students go back to school and everyone's so stressed and there's so much pressure and so on and so forth. How is that important to us? Bajan, you can start. Shaykh Mikaeel can continue.
I think honestly we should give Shaykh Mikaeel a few minutes on his own to give like a few minutes talk. And honestly, because when we're going back and forth, Shaykh Mikaeel has so much to say. We want to give him his one time on the phone just to benefit the crowd.
I'm going to jump off. Inshallah, you can take a few minutes and we'll jump back on after.
Yeah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. I think this is a very interesting topic. We're talking about positivity and having a ijabi or a positive outlook on life. Now, we already know as Muslims, life has difficulties, right? That's how it is. But the way we perceive life, when we study the Prophet ﷺ, one of the things we learn, and I'm going to support this with moments from his life, when we study him, we learn that the way we perceive situations can actually influence those situations. And this is really deep concept. So if we start at a very basic hadith, right? There's this one hadith, which it's a hadith Qudsi, where the Prophet is given words to speak on behalf of God. And so the hadith is called Hadith Qudsi, where the Prophet ﷺ says that God says, Ana inda dhanni abdi bi, I am as my servant thinks of me. Now, that's very interesting because what it's telling us is the inner perspective with which you look at Allah as merciful, as Kareem, as always going to bring good to you. I think a lot of us, because we are sinful, we're always waiting for the doom. We're waiting for the bad news every moment. What bad news is coming today, right? Because we're sinful, we mess up this and that. We need to wake up in the morning and what blessings will Allah show me today? What Kareem is the one who gives to those who don't deserve. Literally, that's what Kareem means. غير استحقاق, like doesn't even deserve it. So this really teaches us that, wait, think of Allah as merciful, as kind, as generous, as all of these positive things. And the hadith says, I reciprocate that back to you, right? So I'm going to start there and show you that from the moment we wake up, thinking about Allah in a positive way, the Prophet teaches us that's important, right? Now, if we go into the Prophet ﷺ's daily life, we actually find more examples of him always taking a situation and trying to see the good out of it. Always, 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 always. This is so profound. One example, Burayda. There's a Sahabi by the name of Burayda. This narration is mentioned in many books of Sirah. There was a bounty on the head of the Prophet ﷺ when he was doing hijrah, right? Everyone's looking for him. And anyone who wants to make some money is like, well, let me go capture these guys and make some money. So Burayda al-Aslami, he sets out with a group of 70 people. Like, yo, we'll all split it, right? We'll still all make money. 70 people. They encounter the Prophet ﷺ and those doing hijrah with him, right? Abu Bakr, radiallahu, his guide, whatever. And as they approach, this is like, we're done. Like, how can you look at this situation? These people are looking after, coming to get me. They know there's a bounty on my head, so on and so forth, right? So the first thing the Prophet ﷺ does is, the leader is Burayda. He asks him, he's like, yo, what's your name? And he says, Burayda. Now this is deep. The Prophet ﷺ turns to Abu Bakr and he says, Baradallahu amrana. Like, Allah has cooled down our situation. Now, what does that mean? That man's name is Burayda with the letters Ba, Ra, Dal, right? Ba, Ra, Dal. And the word Barad means cool. So the Prophet ﷺ took his name as a sign of a good, I don't want to use the word omen, but it's a good sign. He took his name, and from his name, the situation is bleak. The situation is like, we're done. What good can I see here? What's your name? Burayda. Allah has cooled down our situation. Where does that positivity come from? Right? Like, that's so deep. Then he goes further. He goes, what tribe are you from? He says, Sulami, right? And it has the word, the huruf asal, the basic letters are alif, lam, aslama, right? Aslama. So the Prophet says, he looks at Abu Bakr and he goes, Salamna, or Salama, right? He goes, we've made it now. We're at peace. We're good. Because his tribe name was Aslami. So from that, he deduced or took a good sign that Salamna, we've made it peacefully. He gives dawah to him, talks to him. Before you know it, Burayda's leading him into the outskirts of Medina, like as his entourage in. So why did I give that story? It's just one incident where the Prophet ﷺ takes a scenario that for many of us is nothing but a negative situation, but he searches and searches and searches for good in that situation. Let me give another one, because I really want you to realize this is a prophetic thing. At the time of the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, this was a time when the Meccans were not letting the Muslims go for Umrah. They stopped them. Everyone was very sad that they're not going to go back to Mecca. They haven't been in Mecca in so long. They love the Kaaba. They love Mecca. They miss it. Well, the Prophet ﷺ is going to do negotiations with the Meccans, right? So they send a person to negotiate. And the person's name, his first name is Suhail or Sahel. Suhail, afwan, samihni. So the word Suhail is like, it has a root of something being easy, right? Something being easy. So when he looked and he saw who the negotiator was, he said his name out loud and he said, look, Allah has made our situation easy now. Again, like, we've just been stopped from what we wanted to do. This man is coming to put these strict negotiation rules on us, but yet you insist on looking at the good in this situation, even if it's something as small as his name, right? And so, this is another example of where regardless of the situation, when we're able to take a positive outlook on it. There's this thing from a psychological psychological perspective, which is the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Self-fulfilling prophecy. And it's really interesting because of our prophet's teachings already taught us this, which is the way you perceive someone can actually directly influence how they interact with you. Really simply put, let me give an example from like studies done back in like the 80s or 70s. There were teachers that they would have say really positive things towards a group set of students. Even when they did bad, you're very smart, you're very intelligent, you're a hard worker. They would say these positive reinforcement. And the study showed another group that positive reinforcement wasn't given to. This was a longitudinal study. They did this study over many years to watch these people grow and how their lives were. And statistically, they showed that the students that were given the positive reinforcement from their teachers, they had embodied what they had felt from those teachers and began to fulfill what was given to them, if that makes sense. So it's almost like, let me give an example. If you interact with someone and in your back of your mind, you're like, they don't like me, then the self-fulfilling prophecy, what it tells you is that they sense that energy from you and actually start to act in a way that goes with the way you're thinking. It's really ajib. It's really like, wait, how did I influence them? But our psychological studies even show that, right? And so what this tells me is many times if you like interacting with people around you and you see negativity from them, perhaps you're projecting negativity onto them. I'm going to say that again. Like this person you work with is always really negative with you. This thing teaches us that, wait, just change what you're thinking about them and change it in a positive way and watch how you make them now actually reciprocate another, like a mirror image. And now it makes sense. Al-mu'minu mir'atul mu'min. The Prophet ﷺ said that people are mirrors of one another. What? That's like so deep. like emojis, like mind-blown emojis here, guys. Al-mu'minu mir'atul mu'min. The Prophet ﷺ literally said the people are mirrors of one another. That's literally what this study is saying. If you come to the situation with negativity, then that person just reflects that negativity back to you, right? And so I think it's very important for us to communicate love to people, right? To communicate to people that they're beautiful, right? Sometimes, you want to communicate to a person, your husband, your spouse, or whatever, that they're beautiful. If you feel their beauty and project that their beauty, they'll return beauty back to you, right? It's such a deep concept. So these are just a few examples. There was one more example from the life of the Prophet ﷺ. It's slipping my mind right now, and I'm sure it will come back in a moment. But throughout the life of I got it. This is the last one, right? So we all know that they made up this derogatory name for the Prophet ﷺ, Mudammam, right? The blameworthy one, right? And it's the opposite of his name, right? And so one day he comes and he's smiling, he's happy, right? He's smiling, he's happy. He's projecting happiness, right? And he goes, yo, isn't it so cool? Look, alhamdulillah, isn't it so cool? Look how Allah turned the curses of the Quraysh away from me. They're making fun of some guy named Mudammam, and my name's Muhammad. Now, everyone knows who they're talking about. He knows who they're talking about. But mentally, he's taken a stance on that, which, and this is important, we don't want to empower people, negative people. People can only harm you as much as you empower them to. How much you value what they say, how you interpret what they say. The Prophet is taught throughout the Quran, don't empower these people. Don't give these people the strength to harm you. No, I'm happy with you. That's all you need. So the Prophet ﷺ knows deep in his heart who they're talking about. Everyone knows who they're talking about, but he takes a completely different view. He goes, look, they're not even talking about me. That's some other dude. Yeah, and we teach this to our children, right? Like our sibling, my little children, they'll be like, oh, he called me this. Are you that? No. Okay, then. Right. And they're like, yeah, but still he said it. Right. So they're still learning. But the point being is that the Prophet ﷺ, now, what does it mean to be positive? So positive is relative in the sense that if you're at negative 20, positive is not going all the way the other direction, right? Positive could just be to negative 15 or to negative 5. Why do I say that? Like, what are you getting at? What does that mean? Positive is relative in the sense that we don't always want to be in the positive numbers. It's okay to be in the negative numbers sometime. Let me give an example. What is the verse is farihin? The word fariha, exuberant joy. Whenever it comes in the Quran, it's almost always negative. Exuberant joy, right? Why is that important? Sometimes we also need to pull ourselves back, and that's the most positive place that we should be at. I hope that makes sense. So look at it as a balancing act, right? There's moments when you're just so happy, you're heedless happy. You're just, everything's perfect. I'm great. Life is good. This and that. I'm so positive, right? That's not, the Prophet that doesn't teach us that's good. Come back a bit towards the middle. Come back a bit towards the middle, right? Come back a bit towards the middle. And that's positive from the prophetic perspective. You feel me? Humble a bit there is positive from the prophetic perspective. So the reason I'm saying that is sometimes with the self-love mantra that we hear today, and alhamdulillah, Kamal, who was on before me, he spoke about how we as Muslims never want to separate well-being, mental well-being from our Islamic principles, right? So this whole self-love stuff, it's important, no doubt, right? You got to appreciate yourself. You got to know your value in the sight of God, right? There was a person who said, the Prophet held him and he was in the marketplace and he goes, who wants to buy this slave from me? He said, "Idan tajiduni kasidan ya Rasulullah." He said, if you try to sell me, ya Rasulullah, you'll get nothing. I'm worthless. And the Prophet said, Bal indallah anta ghali. No, in the sight of God, you are priceless. Salli ala al-Habib. The Prophet is so beautiful. He's taking a person who feels bad about themselves and he's elevating them, right? So what are we learning from that? Self-love is important in the religion, but not to the point where you worship the self and what the self wants and puts it above God, right? Above the deen, above the teachings of Allah and the Rasul. So we never want to separate between our deen and positivity, self-love, self-worth. Yes, there has a place in the deen, but learn the deen so you understand the proper place of self-love, right? That's the key. That's the key. So these are just some insights on the concept of positivity. I think all of us go through moments. I'm talking to myself, man. I spoke about this earlier. Like I'm someone who, some people call me to get motivation, right? Every now and then, one of the brothers, I got a good friend, he'll call me, but yo, Shaykh, I'm feeling down right now. And I'll do my best to remind the brother, life is a test, right? And I swear to you guys, 30, 40 minutes later, I'm calling my friend to get the same advice. An hour later, I'm calling my friend and saying, man, yo, I'm just feeling down. And he's like, yo, Shaykh, come on, man. So the point is, we all need people to help boost our morale. And then, you also have friends that will say, yo, you going over the edge a little. You got to bring it down. You got to humble yourself a little bit. You're like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Thank you. That's positivity. That's positive is what brings me back to what God loves. Positive is what brings me back to what God loves. There are some times where I'm on the two opposite ends of the spectrum and I need to come back here. That's where I need to be. I'm too proud and arrogant, too happy. I'm so beautiful. I'm so smart. I'm so eloquent. Your friend's gonna be like, can you come back to the center? Ground yourself a little. And there's other times where I'm really, really down, and your friend's gonna bring you positive, more up. No, you're special. So I hope this makes us understand that this spectrum of positivity is not a positive on a number scale that we always want to just go higher. For us, our positivity is what brings us back to the center always, right? And so that may be negativity when you're too positive. I hope that makes sense with everyone, inshallah. So these are just some thoughts, inshallah ta'ala. If there's any questions, we could just go deeper into this, inshallah ta'ala.
Mufti Wahab, go ahead, man.
Imam, those beautiful words of wisdom and insights that you shared on this topic. Bajan, go ahead. You can, if whatever. Where do we take that? I mean,
it's late. We can go on all night because all the stories that Shaykh Mikaeel brought up are so impactful. Because Burda Aslami story, Sahel,
Sahel, my bad. Yeah, I messed up the name. My bad. Sahel, right?
Suhail bin Amr. His name is
Suhail. Yeah, Suhail bin Amr. Yeah.
Suhail bin Amr, Abu Junda's father. And you have like these stories. People think that Shaykh Mikaeel written on emotional intelligence. People think these stories are like spiritually uplifting. No. They're not just spiritually uplifting. They're like emotionally and mentally, psychologically meant for a holistic lifestyle.
Yes.
And that's what Shaykh Mikaeel, like people have done this dichotomy of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Like he's like the spiritual guy who's going to take you to Jannah, and that's it. And alhamdulillah, you have Shaykh Mikaeel scholars now who's kind of like, hey, the Prophet ﷺ didn't just do this for paradise. To make it to paradise, you got to stay positive.
Yeah.
Because when you are depressed and when you are you're anxious, you're not productive enough.
Oh.
So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yo, okay. So this is deep. All right, and yo, guys, listen. It's Friday night, man. Yo, we gotta chill. Yo, we gotta chill. All right, cool.
What do you got? You got where's your tea? Where's your coffee? What's going on?
Yeah. So I roasted some Jamaican blue beans today. I roasted them. Alhamdulillah. So I'm ready to go, yo. I'm ready to go.
You Jamaican man too?
Yo, I'm doing it, yo. I'm doing it.
MashaAllah.
So hold on. Fresh. Yo, so listen, what was the thing you just said about there was one point.
When you become depressed, you become counterproductive.
Oh, so listen, Sheikh, one of the things we got to understand about depression, and I am giving a disclaimer. I'm trying to stay within my realm of expertise and only sharing what I've learned from other specialists.
Man, you sound like you're scared to talk about depression, man. You're like, what, the guys attacked you before or something?
No. I'm just trying to say, you know what I mean?
You don't need to give no disclaimer, man. Be yourself.
So listen, one of the things they say about depression is like there's healthy depression and then there's real depression, right? So like the being sad, we're not always chipper. Like sometimes you're just like, yo, like I'm mellow cello today, right? So being sad is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
What they consider dangerous depression is when it stops you from your daily routine and the things you got to get done. So you got to go to class, you got to go to work, you got to play with your family. If the depression becomes so intense that you can't do normal things, that's when it becomes clinical, and that's where you got to get someone to come and help you, right? So I think it's important to understand what you just said there. You brought a big distinction, is you won't be functional, right? And so if we don't talk about positivity, negativity, then the problem is we won't be able to do the ibadat the way we need to. We won't be able to do our Quran. We won't be able to do the a'mal of our own family, like interact with society if we don't take care. And so just to echo what you just said, you said that the Prophet ﷺ, we see clear examples of him taking care of the emotional, psychological needs of the people around him, right? And it cannot be denied. It's so clear that this was a part of his teachings. And so just a little insight on that.
Yeah, Imam, Jen, the same thing that Sheikh just echoed from your statement. I feel like there's two things. Number one,
can you put the AC on?
Positivity in regards to a person being positive and upbeat is useless if it only benefits themselves. It's not useful. It is not productive. It is not even something we should chase after if it's only helpful towards the person. The Prophet ﷺ taught positivity so that it could help everyone in society. So my positivity needs to be contagious. يَكَادُ زَيْتُهَا يُضِيءُ وَلَوْ لَمْ تَمْسَسْهُ نَارٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the feeling of the heart, which is his nur, which is positivity, is such that even when a person feels it to a certain extent, it can touch everyone around us. And what happens to us, وَإِذَا مَسَّهُ الْخَيْرُ مَنُوعًا, the idea is when we do feel positive, when we do feel upbeat, when we do feel excited, we only want that excitement for ourselves. We only want that happiness for ourselves. We only want that feeling of, I'm making it for ourselves. And when we feel like we're at a low point, we want everyone else to know what we're going through. وَإِذَا مَسَّهُ الشَّرُّ جَزُوعًا. But it should be the opposite. upbeat feeling. Al-mu'minu ma'laf. The concept that a believer is a social hub, and he's always positive, is not that, oh, I'm positive. Rather, وَلَا خَيْرَ مَنْ لَا يَأْلَفُ وَلَا يُؤْلَفُ, is because they're able to bring ulfa to people. They're able to bring goodness to people. So the qualities that we hold are only qualities if we're able to extend them to the people around us. It doesn't become a quality if it's per se limited to ourselves, because a talent is truly a talent when it's able to benefit all of those around us. And this is expressed. Now, where did the Prophet learn how to bring positivity to Sahabas and to take the positive spin from something which is negative? أَدَّبَنِي رَبِّي فَأَحْسَنَ تَأْدِيبِي. He learned it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ is dealing with one of the most traumatic events of his life, where he loses his son Qasim. And he loses his son Qasim. Abdullah, who's his neighbor, says to the Prophet ﷺ, and he starts going ahead and he starts announcing and going into the community and saying, Muhammad huwa abtar ﷺ, that this man, he's celebrating the death of the son of the Prophet. Na'udhu billahi min dhalik. And he's going in the city and announcing it, and now people are actually that come into the city, they're saying, where's the Abata? Like, where's this guy who have no, like, this has become, na'udhu billah, his nickname to a certain extent. And the Prophet is already dealing with this physical trauma in the sense that he lost his child, emotional trauma, and now he's challenged with all of these people trying to bring him down, bring him lower. When you're down, they try to kick you lower. Obviously, that's what society does to you at times. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches all of us through the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ what positivity truly means, though in the face of true negativity. He says, Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. Oh Muhammad ﷺ, Inna a'tainaka. We have already given you. Fi'l madi. It's not ata, it's a'ta. Ata is for things that are small. A'ta for things that are large. A'tainaka Al-Kawthar. Al-Kawthar, we refer this to the river in Jannah. But Al-Kawthar, as Razi says, is not simply we have given you the stream in Jannah that one day you will benefit from and give to your ummah. No, Al-Kawthar is the hyperbole version of Kathir. We have already given you so much. What have we given you? Alam nashrah laka sadrak wa wada'na anka wizrak. Have we already not given you وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًا فَهَدَى وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى? Have we already not given you the concept of لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ خَاتِمُ النَّبِيِّينَ سَيِّدُ الْمُرْسَلِينَ? Kawthar, we've already given you so much. So if we take something back, don't become negative. Rather do the opposite.
Man, I was gone for like 6 weeks, man. You scholars became like even more knowledgeable, man.
Yo,
this you guys, man. I was gone for 6 weeks from
Kalam, man.
Allah says to him, no, don't just be negative. Rather, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. What are you supposed to do when you have a child, aqiqah? Do it. Wanhar. Give money to people. Pray to your Lord. And know that your enemy, I'll take care of it. مِنَّ شَانِئَكَ هُوَ الْأَبْتَرُ. Hudaybiyah, same concept. Inna fatahna laka fathan mubina. So I feel, Shaykh Mikaeel, my only thing I can add to this beautiful discussion that you brothers, shuyukh, are having is the limited concept that our positivity should not only benefit our own family, should not only benefit us. That's a very selfish way of using our positivity. Rather, our positivity should be contagious and should benefit as many people as possible, because we don't know who really needs it. And the opposite will happen to us. The Prophet ﷺ, yes, was in huzn and hazan. Like huzn and hazan are different. He was in hazan during the day and huzn in the night. They say hazan is when you're sad, but you don't show it to the people around you. And huzn is when you're sad and you can see it in their face. قَالَ إِنَّمَا أَشْكُو بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي. And you could see it because وَبْيَضَّتْ عَيْنَاهُ, right? His eyes, he became blind from crying. So at nighttime, there was huzn, crying, speaking to Allah. But in the daytime, there was hazan. It was internal. He did not let it affect his ability to be productive in the community, as Shaykh Abdullah and Shaykh Mikaeel were both mentioning.
Both of you guys are dropping gems, man. I'm like,
yo.
Just benefiting from you all.
Yo, listen. I want to add to this because let's keep the energy.
Yo, why are you gonna add, I want to ask you to add something else too. Like, can you also talk about like staying around positive people when you're gonna talk about? Just add that too in your discussion.
Yo, okay. So hold on. Let's take this apart. Mufti Sub was just talking about your positivity should benefit others. Okay. Now, I think we could go a little deeper on that too. I mean, it's beautiful, man. Beautiful. I hope everyone is benefiting as much as I'm benefiting from this night, yo. So here's the deal. He pointed out how, the Prophet ﷺ, we find conflicting narrations. This is deep. If you open up Shama'il, and Muftis, please help me on this. If you open up Shama'il, you'll see narrations that say he was always sad, right? But then you find narrations that say he was always smiling, right? And so the way like Maulana Zakaria and others have explained that is like when he would sit by himself, he would be in thought. He would be in deep thought. But the moment he interacted with people, this smile was always there. Now, this is what I find so interesting. Smiles, like yawns, are contagious. Like you cannot, you have to be like badbakht, like messed up dude, to not smile at someone who smiles at you. You actually have to do an effort not to smile at someone who smiles at you. Now, the amazing thing about a smile is not only is it a physical, but there's a physiological effect of a smile on your psyche. So when Mufti says, share your positivity, share your ability to positively influence other people despite where you are at emotionally.
Wow. Beautiful.
Share your ability to positively influence another person despite your current state emotionally. Now,
amazing.
What may happen through that, based on the hadith, Allahu fi auni al-abdi ma kana al-abdu fi auni akhi, through your projection of positivity, because there's a narration that says, if you can't do sabr, yatasabbar. Like, if you can't do sabr, then fake it till you make it, right? So based on that, what we can learn is through your projection of positivity to influence Fulan, Abdullah, now you are actually influencing your own state of positivity, even though you didn't have it to begin with.
That's beautiful.
Man, I'm getting it from you. I'm getting it from you.
Man, that's deep stuff, man.
No, mashallah. You, Shaykh Mikaeel, because you talked about how people call you when they feel down, and then you call someone else. There's a lot of times people feel like it's humiliating to ask for help when they feel down. And they come like as a sheikh, as a father, as a mother. I'm gonna call my younger sister, my younger brother. Like they rely on me. Now I'm gonna call someone else. Like people feel embarrassed to seek help.
So yo, as a sheikh, right? Big time quotes, right? We ain't nothing compared to our teacher.
No, man, mashallah, man, you're doing some good work.
Yo, keep it up. As someone who gives lectures and this and that, people who know me up front, they know I'm very transparent. Like I don't, alhamdulillah, like there's no fronting. I'm just who I am, right? So listen, if I'm feeling sad and down, which I go through often, I have a support group of 2-3 friends who I'll call, who don't have pretentious sheikh, this, that, whatever. Mikaeel, this, that, whatever. They'll say sheikh, but they don't mean it, whatever. But they're the people I'm going to call and be like, yo, man, man, I don't know what I'm doing with myself right now, man. I feel just, and they'll give me those words of encouragement. Now, and I was, what I was thinking about Muftis, and I was thinking about this a few days ago. And this is a tangent. It's not really for the public awam, but we can benefit. We need something for ulama and scholars to talk to people, man.
Yeah.
Because, there's a therapist needs therapy, yo. A doctor needs a doctor. And I think religious leaders also need, and that's what the sheikh typically was for you. But you get what I'm saying? Like, we often need someone. And for me, the same brothers who sometimes I'm encouraging, they're literally at my halaqah. And they call me and be like, yo, man, I can't get this job. I'm like, yo, man, risk is from Allah. Literally a few days later, I'll call him like, yo, man, I'm feeling down, bro. He's like, yo, what is it? Let me know. Get it off your chest. And same person. It's the same person.
Wow.
It's the same person.
And the best thing about it, he's not judging you. He knows you, he's not judging you. He's like, you're human.
I'm a human being like you, bro.
It's like the relationship between Jibreel and the Prophet.
Allah. Okay.
They're all always bringing each other up. That's beautiful. Like what you're saying is, I think that's important for us as well.
Yeah, Mufti Wahab, you're married, mashallah. You got a child now. Some things you can't talk to your wife about. You know, as much as we are best friends, we're spouses. Like, "Hunna libasun lakum wa antum libasun lahun." You know, like the whole kind of like, like, you know, those romantic ayats. You know, I understand. Like, yo, some things, spouse. They're right, man. You don't need like. You can just talk to your brothers, your sisters. Like, you know, you can talk to your homies about and your friends about. And that's what friends are there for. That's why we need each other, and this is why we need to pick up our phones. Like, you know, like sometimes someone might call you and they're in a difficult situation. They just want to talk to you.
Yep.
And I'm telling you guys, like Shaykh Mikaeel is raw. Like you're really honest and upfront what you just said. A lot of shuyukh can say that because like people have this. I think it's an ego issue. Like we try to present this perfect lifestyle, perfect handbag, perfect car, perfect leather, perfect pen, perfect watch, perfect nose, whatever you got, you know?
Don't grow in public, they say. Don't grow in public.
Yeah. And now like, oh, you're a sheikh and you're struggling with your marriage? Come on, man. Like, we all struggle with our marriages, man. Listen, that's life. We struggle. We struggle with our in-laws, man. We talked about in-laws earlier. We struggle with our in-laws. It's like
Abdullah's sunnah is that he can't have a live unless and until he mentions his wife. Shaykh Mikaeel. That's true love.
Allahu Akbar.
You know, there's in Urdu they say susral, right?
Yep.
There's another way they say it in Pakistan called susrail. You know, like
oh dang.
When I first heard that, I was like, man, you guys need to. But the reality is, like, we all go through it. The Prophet ﷺ had some downtime too. Like, he really had downtime, and he's like, yo, Jibreel, you got to visit me more often. Like, visit each other. This is why in Islam there's a huge reward. Manzar akhal lillah. Like, get up and just go visit a friend. Like, not call them, just go visit them. And you could be having a horrible day.
Yes.
But going to their house, it makes things better. You know, it makes things better. Take something light and keep things up. That's the culture that Islam has. But go ahead, Shaykh Mikaeel.
No, hold on. No, I want to comment on what you're saying. Everyone really needs to take note. Okay, there's two things he said. He said go and visit, but he also said pick up the phone. And I think they both have a place. In the time of texting, what he's saying, this is important. When someone calls you or you feel like they need someone to talk to.
I know what you're saying.
Like when someone calls you, sometimes you can hit a text. Oh, I'm a little busy right now. Yo, what's up? Right? They don't need that. They need to talk to you. They need you to sit there and take 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes maybe, and listen. And again, I told you I'm all on the listen and stuff right now. But the thing I'm trying to say is this. He said something deep. Sometimes you don't feel like it because my day is so busy today. My kids, this, that, whatever. I'm going to be real with y'all. There are so many times a phone call comes in my head. I'm like, I don't want to do this right now. My wife, my kids, I got to prep for class. I got a lecture coming. And whenever I hear that, I pick up the phone. I train myself to kind of do the opposite at that moment because I just say to myself, Mikaeel, there will be barakah in what you do because of this call, inshallah. That's it. So I answer the call and I'm like, yo, what's up? Okay, what's going on? Obviously, the person's going, if it's like 45 minutes, I'm like, yo, we got to continue later or whatever. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But at least answering and be like, yo, what can I do for you? Yo, what's up? What's up? I'm here for you. And so many of us are so busy, that
I'm sorry to cut you off, but busy. I mean, like, we shouldn't confuse movement with progress.
Ooh.
Being busy doesn't mean that we're actually like doing something. A lot of times, us being busy is just us moving. Movement is not progress. Progress is progress. So being busy is one of the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran about speaking about the non-believers. Like they're always busy. Allah said, no, in the akhirah, guess what? The people of Jannah, hum fi shughlin fakihun. They're going to be busy. Because busyness is very easy for a person to gain. Like, I'm busy.
When I do my tafsir of hum shughlin fakihun in Jannah, they're going to be busy partying.
But being busy is not like, okay, for example, I'm busy playing video games. Well, you are busy. I'm occupied. So it's a term that has really just needs to be recoined, right? And I think
it's one of those terms to escape things.
It's empty. It's
empty,
empty.
man. Like it's like, then people say, "Oh, inna ahlaka alayka haqq wa badanuka alayka haqq wa," like your body has a haqq on you, your family has a right on you, this person has a right on you. All those narrations are correct, but that haqq comes in when we're giving up so much that we have to take back. Like for example, in the tafsir of the ayah of وَلَا تَبْسُطْهَا كُلَّ الْبَسْطِ, don't open up your hand completely. That's not in reference to us. That's in reference to the Prophet ﷺ, who's giving up everything.
Allahu
It's
Akbar.
not like, for us, let's hold back a little bit more. No, we're not even giving enough for the other part to come in and affect us yet. Like the hadith of don't pray all night, but we're not even praying a portion of the night. How can we start talking about not praying all night? Like we're everything. Everyone has a right upon us.
I like talking about in extreme piety because I feel like just talking about it, I said in that conversation, but really I'm not part of that conversation. It makes me psychologically feel pious. But hopefully one day I'll be there. Make me
Inshallah.
I'm the last
here, man.
No, but come on, you're out there and up there, man. You know that. I was gonna say, like, when we're still dealing with our tragedy. We're going to my brother every 4 or 5 times a week, and you're always dealing with it. You have to learn to cope with it. But I recall the shuyukh that called me. Of course, Shaykh Abdullah and my other brother, Shaykh Abdul Aziz, were true supporters at the highest epitome of it, and we call them at any time and let out. But there were shuyukh that call you. They're out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And that's just like Shaykh Kamal Saleh, like these and others too, like our teachers. They're so busy, and they just call you to see how you're doing. It takes 1 or 2 minutes.
Yep.
But a person will never forget that. A person will never forget that.
Yep.
So the same way they make you feel, in the same way, like when a person you need it, when you're in that situation and you need it, it's important for us to project that on people when other people are going through it. It doesn't matter what point in life we're at. We should always be a muhsin.
Yeah.
And we take this from the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. And I'm going to speak after this. Yusuf alayhi salam is at the lowest point of his life, where he's thrown into jail. These brothers come to him. وَدَخَلَ مَعَهُ السِّجْنَ فَتَيَانِ قال أحدهما إني أراني أعصر خمرا وقال آخر إني أراني أحمل فوق رأسي خبزا تأكل الطير منه نبئنا بتأويله إنا نراك من المحسنين. At the lowest point of his life, where he's thrown into prison, being innocent, they still realize that this person is a muhsin. He will do good towards people. He will not take our rights.
Wow.
إِنَّا نَرَاكَ مِنَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. It is a condition for us to give da'wah that we are people that look like beneficiaries, people that can benefit the community. Muhsinin. You look like a good person that you
honestly, like those cellmates, the cellmates of Yusuf as-salam had to see something about him where they could approach him and tell them something so personal about their dream. Like nobody goes up to a random person and tells them about a dream and says that I think you're legitimately a good person.
You're a good person. And they say that the only experience that they had with him was entering into prison together. But his entrance was with so much grace. رَبِّ أَدْخِلْنِي مُدْخَلَ صِدْقٍ وَأَخْرِجْنِي مُخْرَجَ صِدْقٍ. It's not about leaving or coming. Regardless if I'm leaving or if I'm coming, it's with the sidq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's with the rida of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّا نَرَاكَ مِنَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Then you fast forward to the height of his life, where his brothers come to him to seek food from him. They say, please fulfill our measurements. Inna naraka min al-muhsinin. We see you to be a person of ihsan. Regardless of his situation.
Those crazy, sorry to say that, but like those same brothers were talking smack a little earlier.
Yeah.
But they've seen him, though they don't know him, they know that they can just tell that he is a good person who wants to benefit people.
Yeah.
At the end of the surah, and this is my climax for this connection, when he meets his family and his brothers at the end, when they gather together, 80,000 army men outside of the city, welcoming Yaqub into the community, he says, وَقَدْ أَحْسَنَ بِي إِذْ أَخْرَجَنِي مِنَ السِّجْنِ. أَحْسَنَ بِي. Since I was projecting goodness towards people, أَحْسَنَ بِي. Allah projected ihsan in my life while he brought my brothers. They say, why is it ihsan for? They say it's ihsan because Allah bringing his father back would have been the norm. But Allah also reunited his brothers with him. He was a muhsin at every level. Even when he said, like he says, أحسن بيئة
Mr. Wahab, are you like reading some of the tafsir that I don't know, man? Because I read Qurtubi, Ibn Kathir, Wajiz.
I'm watching your lectures, but I'm gonna stop here.
Yo, no, yo, listen, can I, man, yo, let me get in where I fit in real quick, Mufti Sub.
Oh, you,
yo,
man.
Yo, no, this is deep,
man.
Yo,
You're making me laugh, man. I love your statements.
This is a lit Friday night. I'm loving it, bro. Listen,
because
in prison, this man, alayhi salam, has every reason to be negative.
Yep.
We would make an excuse. We would justify. We would be like, yeah, you know, you went to jail for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Then the people forgot about you when they were going to help you. And then this and that. And everyone's pointing fingers at you. He has every reason to be negative. But he realizes that he has every reason to stay positive.
SubhanAllah.
And that reminds me about what you said about Kauthar. When you said that, that shook me at my core. That we have given you so much to be happy about. So much to be positive about. And listen, we're smiling right now because we're remembering blessings. When someone calls you tomorrow and they sound sad and they sound down, you got to remind them of blessings. You got to remind them of Allah. You got to, and wallah, I know I sound like a broken record. You may not even be feeling it at that moment.
Yep.
But you got to dig. And that's where you're giving someone, they say the shirt off your back. We're giving the emotions off our back.
Awesome.
I ain't even happy right now, bro. I ain't even happy right now. But you called me and I'm a make you happy. And I have every reason to be happy. And I'm going to remind you that you have every reason to be happy. And as I'm giving you reasons to be happy, I start to realize, yo, Mikaeel, why are you all down, yo? You're like, why are you down? Did you hear what you just said to him? All of that applies to you too. You know what I mean? I got a question. No, I got a question. What did y'all think about what I was saying about positive is not always in one direction, but coming back to the middle?
Yo, that was deep.
100%. That was deep.
That was deep because, humans, life is a balance. That was deep, Shaykh Mikaeel. I noted that. And I kind of want to read into it a little bit more from an academic and also from an Islamic perspective because, because extreme positivity can lead to ostentatious behavior, a narcissistic behavior, the Prophet never bragged about his positivity. Yo, man, I got everything going well. That because when you kind of act like that, there might be someone who's suffering, and you make them feel inferior. And so the Prophet was the concept of being just naturally balanced. That's the nature of the Prophet, and that's the nature that we should aspire for. This balance, and anything that's out of balance is against the nature of Islam.
Yeah. So the word positive in the context of self-love and self-wealth, it's kind of like there's this mantra of just everything is good, always good, everything always is good. And so in my mind, I'm like, no, our Islam teaches us to kind of temper that down a little bit, control that. So in my mind, I got this little equation where I'm like, look, positive is whatever brings me back to the point of balance.
Yeah.
And so if I'm super exuberantly happy, I'm so like life is perfect, everything's going great, got a new car, got a new home, my job's going you need to be humbled a little. You need to be like Allahumma lakal hamd wa lakal shukr, ya Allah, you can take this from me any moment. Positivity, a good friend at that moment is going to say, yo, calm down.
Relax.
Calm down. Now, and now that's positive for me and you.
Yeah.
Because our prophet is the most positive point, right? So everything else is a negative. Anything away. So for us, let's just picture a timeline or a number line, right? Like the 0 point is prophetic epitome of positivity. So regardless if I'm all the way that way or that way, none of that is positive until I come back to here. You know what I'm saying? So a good friend, like alhamdulillah, man, some of the people I call, I'm like, yo, what's going on? He's like, yo, how you doing? I'm like, yo, everything's gravy, man. I'm good. Yo, I just gave a bomb lecture, yo. He's like, yo, calm down, bro. I'm dead serious. He's like, yo, calm down, bro. Calm down. I'm like, you know what? You're right, bro. He's like, yo, who gave you the ability to speak? I'm like, Allah, yo, done. Thank you, bro. I needed that. You know what I'm saying?
That's a beautiful idea. Go ahead, Shaykh. Go ahead.
No, that's it. I just wanted to
Go ahead.
Sorry, Muftaah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Bajan, like, as long as we remember where it came from, then we remain balanced, right? This is why all of our du'as after blessings, all of our du'as after blessings have a reminder of where it came from. Alhamdulillah alladhi at'amana wa saqana. Alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana ba'da ma amatana. It reminds us where it came from. So it's not like, it's not that I got it. It came from someone, hence it's a positive thing, but that same person who gave it can take it back.
That's it.
مَا ذَلِكَ عَلَى اللَّهِ بِعَزِيزٍ إِنْ شَاءَ يُذْهِبْكُمْ وَيَأْتِي بِخَلْقٍ جَدِيدٍ, right? So even to the extent of, so when you remember where it came from, it definitely keeps us somewhat balanced. And there's a difference between the people who are blessed. There's people that are blessed in the Quran. Some of them are pious, salihin, and some of them are not pious people. But they were positive. But the difference is how they understand where it came from. We have prophets who are blessed with wealth. عُلِّمْنَا مَنْطِقَ الطَّيْرِ. Not تَعَلَّمْنَا مَنْطِقَ الطَّيْرِ. عُلِّمْنَا. In Arabic, عُلِّمْنَا means we were taught. It was given to us.
Yeah.
عُلِّمْنَا مِن لَدُنَّا عِلْمًا. It was given to us. Even the concept of, مِمَّا عُلِّمْتَ رُشْدًا. It was whatever is given to us. Meaning that I didn't learn it. It wasn't from my knowledge. It was given to me. I could never, and scholars say, why did you say عُلِّمْنَا مَنْطِقَ الطَّيْرِ? Because learning how to speak to birds is never something you can actually learn. So it was given to a person. It was put into your heart. And Qarun says, no, إِنَّمَا أُوتِيتُهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ عِنْدِي.
Who's Qarun, Sheikh? Now tell us who Qarun is, yo.
I mean, the guy owned the world. I mean, he owns the king, the cousin of Musa, sees all the miracles. And boom, he says, no, this is إِنَّمَا أُوتِيتُهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ عِنْدِي. This is something that I got. Why should I give it to you?
Yeah, ilm is not just knowledge, it's like talent.
The talent, the ability. And because of that, now we become somewhat arrogant. But Shaykh, last thing I'm going to say about the point, people that project nothing but happiness, is Allah SWT speaks about this in the Quran as well. It's not because they have nothing but positivity. I'm going to make this clear to everyone. People that project anything but happiness, it's not because they're just happy. It's because they're hiding something.
Yeah.
Life is not perfect. اقترب للناس حسابهم وهم في غفلة معرضون ما يأتيهم من ذكر من ربهم محدث إلا استمعوه وهم يلعبون. What they do, rather than being reminded about what they're missing, they just ignore it. They just ignore it. And what that does to them is لاهية قلوبهم وأسر النجوى. Their hearts become completely disconnected from people and from Allah, and they like being alone. They like being in their own skin. They like being in their own comfort zone. So they feel that they're happy. But it's not that they're actually happy and content and positive with everything in life. They just hide everything else. And they act like it doesn't exist in regards to the challenges that they have in life. Like social media, everyone puts out their best life. There's not the best life. Them putting out their best life is because they're hiding something. And that something that they're hiding is putting them in ghafla. And them being put in ghafla is making their hearts become lahu. Like, just, I don't care anymore. It is what it is. I'm happy to live my life like this. So there is no way.
Wahab, you a social media expert too, man. That was super.
Yeah, no, that's heavy.
That was deep. I'm still trying to process this. I was going to Pakistan. Things were a little slow over there. Pop cars, stuff like that. So like
the Wi-Fi was slow.
Yeah, we don't got 4G there. But that's super. I'm sorry to cut you off. Finish.
No, but I was just saying. I feel like Shaykh Mikaeel was talking about it. So
there was the reason I'm looking like to the side. There was something Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi said, and forgive me. He said something very similar to that, which is they covered up the pain. Got it. You guys are blessings. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. So he said this: there is a pain that is felt in the heart when it's disconnected from God. This is not directly connected to what you're saying, but it is, and I think you'll see the connection. There's a pain that comes through being disconnected from God. But in order to placate or in order to numb that pain, they numb it with all of these other things.
Yeah.
The moment those things go away for a moment, the pain comes back.
Wow. Yeah.
So they have to keep going from one high to the next, one high to the next, one dopamine release to the next. Why? Because if they ever for a moment don't get that dopamine release, they feel the pain that comes from a disconnecting from Allah.
Yeah.
And so when you said what you said about covering, it hit that. I was like, I know I read something similar. I just wanted to share that. I'm sorry, it wasn't directly.
Can you imagine how much it confuses people to see people happy in simple lives? Like, how could you be like to do all of this to alleviate our pain, and you're just sitting back and you're subhanallah, you're so content? Like, how is this happening? But I think both of you guys, I honestly, it's my first Friday night back, and I'm like, man, I missed a lot. I missed so much Friday Night Lives.
We missed you, man. The audience missed you.
Shaykh Mikaeel is a person that you really want to bring him in person, because
Inshallah,
through even the live sessions, he's contagious, mashallah.
I met him in person.
He has so much smile, so much beauty, and the magic you have him in person.
It's different though. In these environments, I feel so comfortable. I'm on my own couch, you know what I mean? Whatever, You're
looking good, man.
I'll accept. It's beautiful, man. This is such a blessing to be able to sit together. I look at these conversations that we have as a means of brotherhood for there's like 535 people with us right now online. It's a means for us to share company on a Friday night. You know what I mean? Like the whole dunya is doing whatever they do on Friday nights. And here we are together, reminding ourselves about, positivity is our topic. We listen to poetry, and now we're just kicking it together. And it's such a beautiful brotherhood.
Real positivity.
Imam Shafi says, what was it? Hold on. I got it. Lola suhbatul akhyar wa manajatul haq ta'ala bil ashar ma ahbabtul baqa'i fi dar. He goes, if it wasn't for good brothers that I could kick it with, and waking up for tahajjud in the middle of the night, I don't even want to live in this dunya no more.
MashaAllah, man.
So just sitting together, talking, man, like this is such a great blessing from Allah. And there's so many verses that talk about in Jannah when you're just together and you're talking about the dunya. You remember that thing, You remember that thing? And we're like, I remember that. Pass the drink, pass that. You know what I mean? Subhanallah. Allah accepts.
I mean, like, honestly, sitting with good people like you, time goes by so fast, and knowledge is intensified, and so many worries are removed. And honestly, people look like, hey man, how can I'm not saying shuyukh, like, how do you guys chill? Like, what do you guys do to chill? Hey, this is what we do to chill. What do you like? You guys always wearing these turbans and these hats and Moroccan clothing. What do you guys do to chill? I was like, this is it. There is so much pleasure in just seeing another brother smile, brotherhood and sisterhood, and لقاء الناس ليس يفيد شيئا سوى الهذيان من قيل وقال فقل من لقاء الناس إلا لأخذ العلم أو إصلاح حالي. Like, if you're like the poet says, like, if you're really gonna chill with somebody, these are the two reasons you want to chill with them. Either you learn something from them, or you feel some rectification. And I felt that.
Love it.
Shaykh Mikaeel, Allah bless you for your time, your energy, your positivity. You were living out what you were speaking about. Allah bless you, your family, make everything go smooth for you if you're moving, and continue to bless Kalam and all the work that you all do over there in Dallas. And inshallah,
I'm looking younger every time I see you. What's the magic?
I would say a very famous saying they say about my people, but I think it won't go good. So
no, you know what? You for that you don't even have to make a disclaimer. You can say it, man.
Yo, alhamdulillah.
I know what you're gonna say before you're gonna say it, but we'll leave it at that.
May Allah forgive it. No, may may Allah. They say about the shuyukh, man, that they're. I'm not claiming this. I'm just sharing this for the community because I am by no way claiming this, but. We used to hear stories about our shuyukh that Allah preserved their health. And I remember reading in Safhat min Sabr al-Ulama, like one of the shuyukh, he was very old, but he was very agile. And he was like, one of his students, like, how did you, how? He's like, because when I was young, I used these limbs for the sake of God. You know what I mean? So I'm not claiming, I hope that didn't come off wrong, guy. Because
حفظت ربي في صغري وأحفظني في
Allah, look at that. Look at my man. My man's like the dictionary. He's the
no, man,
Google
just
search.
No, that's a beautiful thing. May Allah protect you, because you provide such important, valuable knowledge, brotherhood, and mentorship to the community, not only in Dallas but all across the nation. Man, honestly. And where like even the poet was on, he was talking about your emotional intelligence work, and show the new book that you're writing on listening. Yeah,
but Mufti Sub been doing some homework, yo.
Shaykh Mikaeel, you should if you get time, you should also see that there's a book on the Prophet's way he listened to the Bedouins, right?
Don't tell me, man.
I'll give you the book. I'll tell you the name of the book. But before I tell you the name of the book, Shaykh Mikaeel, just before my brother Rahmatullah passed away, I was super fascinated how the Prophet ﷺ dealt with like obnoxious people. Like,
okay,
I was like, man, I want to know how the Prophet dealt with obnoxious people, how he listened to the questions. Like, sometimes we're in a Q&A and someone asks us a silly question, and we pretend like we're composed, but deep down, like, what an idiot, like.
You said it, not me.
I
didn't say
that. I
that.
believe you asked me that question, like, but the reality is like how the Prophet ﷺ, like, how many times he was asked when the Day of Judgment is. Like, if once someone's asked me this question, then I could be like, I was like, seriously, man, go do your homework. But the reality, like, the Prophet was asked this question, so many times, and the Prophet, and he was disrespected so many times when he was asked this question, and the way he would listen to this, and he was so composed. So there's a book. I shot the videos, like 7-8 of them before my Abdul Rahmatullah alayhi, and then I kind of had to like stop. I'll finish them off again. I kind of like have to reshoot them now. Mufti Wahab is looking at me. He's like, man, you got to do a lot of work for us because I was gone. But the book was called As'ilatul A'rab. As'ilatul A'rab.
Oh, nice. Okay.
The questions of the Bedouins. Nice. Because Bedouins don't come with any like
etiquette.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't want to disrespect the Bedouins, because I come from the although I come from the village too, I'm saying, no offense, but I'm from Flip. But the attitude is that how the Prophet listened to them, and that could add value into some of the work that you're doing.
That would be great.
That's a great project, mashallah. May Allah put barakah in your project and bring great benefit to the ummah, inshallah. And we're here always, inshallah. We're going to keep benefiting, and we're going to keep making sure when your book comes out that all of our students get it, inshallah. And we're gonna invite you soon. I'm gonna text you after this program, set a date for when you can come here and do a class on site.
Let's do it. Michigan, right? Holding down Michigan, right?
Michigan.
No, we gotta bring you in person.
The lakes, you got the lakes up there. We gotta go jet skiing, yo.
You know how it is, man.
The summer is gone. We'll take you snowboarding or skiing.
No, what do you mean? It's cold
already. It's still warm, man.
It's still warm,
September 17th, brother.
But I used to, when I was like 16, I used to compete skiing downhill.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm from Buffalo, New York, dude. Like, what do you do in the winter?
What can you do in the winter?
Yeah. So I used to compete, yo.
So you still have your skills.
Oh, you never forget. It's like a bike. It's literally like a bike. Skiing's like a bike. Once you get the thing, you never forget how to do it. I never snowboarded.
What's up? Come anytime, Sheikh. We're just waiting for you.
You ski too, Mufti?
We ski.
No, I don't ski. I snowboard.
I can't snowboard. I never snowboarded before.
But we'll keep you indoor, outdoor. We'll make sure your stomach is fed and you're emotionally happy, especially with what we got.
And then, let's do it.
Keep it healthy, and like Mufti Wahab said, make all the future transitions, whatever you're doing, easy and successful. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you continuous khair and barakah.
Ameen ya Rabbi. Ameen ya Rabbi.
Don't forget us in your du'as. Yeah, don't forget us in your du'as, Sheikh. All of us, everyone, inshallah.
Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum.
Jan, it was awesome having you back, mashallah. Community is finally back with their true host, Shaykh Abdullah. Just put it out there. You won't be seeing me for the next 4 Friday Night Lives.
Yeah, are you serious? Are you taking a break?
I'm here, man. But
no, you know what? I'll give you next Friday off. Why don't you take next Friday off?
They want you, Bajan. They don't want me. They've been seeing me enough. Alhamdulillah. But
I
Jazakallah khair.
don't want you to take any Fridays off because I really, really miss you too. And like this is the most time we spent together is when we're life. Like we get to see each other. We're always either teaching in a different classroom and running out from the hallways. Alhamdulillah, Mufti Wahab, you guys did a great job while I was gone. And I'm not saying I was watching every moment, but I would tune in here and there. And may Allah bless you.
Good enough, Bijan.
So much dedication. So much dedication.
Your du'as came through. But how was your trip, Bijan? Let everyone know how your trip was. You want to let them know where you went. You want it next week.
We'll talk about next week. Time's it's late,
Okay.
inshallah.
How about next week? Jazakallah khair, everyone, for joining. May Allah bless you all.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.